And now it's time for headlines with JT and the Hootastic panel.
Well, hello, Who viewers. What a time we are having right now. They never stop giving us headlines, do they? This is your headlines. It's Wednesday, the 26th of June. It's 2024. We are here. We are live. It is lovely to see you all in the chat. If you're watching us and you're not in the chat, come into the chat. Come and join us. It would be nice to see you. We have a lot to get through tonight. We have another big show for you. Oh, it is big because have you heard? Well, the first thing is those spinning plates are still spinning. And we're talking about the ratings. We're going to be looking at them again a little bit later on because we know you love them. And of course, the big news of the moment is somebody's been kicking off again and opening this and showing complete and utter delusional fantasy. To join me, as usual, to talk about this story that we're getting into straight away, I've got Third Doctor Ian and I've got Paul. Here we are then. Hello.
Hello there. Hello.
Yeah, here we go again. Again, thank you to everybody that's joining us in the chat. It is nice to see you all. So let's get into this straight away because, of course, the big topic at the moment, the big story, not just for us here, but actually now worldwide, deals with this fella, of course, David Tennant. And as you can see there he is with the award he won. Now, get this, everybody. This actually was on Friday. And it's only just made the headlines and come out yesterday. Now, that tells you an awful lot, because from my point of view, that shows you that all the people that were in that room on Friday thought this was acceptable, thought this was okay, thought this was wonderful, and they were cheering it as well. A room full of awful people in my eyes. But let's look at this. Look at this closely, everybody. This is the British LGBT Awards, which is devised and produced by a company called SPM Group Limited. Okay, so that's on there, but you can't really see it on there. But underneath that LGBT thing, it actually says LGBTQIAA plus awards. So, yeah, so that's what he's won. Okay, now, if you're not aware of this, we are going to come to you all in the chat very shortly. I want to get straight into this, though, because I was a little bit peed off. So, this is it. If you're not aware about this, this is David Tennant accepting this award, gets up to get his little piece of plastic or whatever it is on there, guys, onto the stage, and then does a usual, what we are now aware of, a rant, doesn't he? He does a rant, and this is picked up in every single paper. But guess which one I'm going to, gentlemen? I'm going to the Metro. And why am I going to the Metro? One of, if not the...
Because it's free. It's free.
Well, I wouldn't even pick it up because it's free. Because as we've mentioned on this show before many, many times, the Metro is one of the wokest, if not the wokest paper in the UK. It's way over that side. It has gone completely. It is completely far left ideological nonsense, as we've covered for on this. It also happens to be one of the main sponsors of this event. Oh, surprise, surprise. Anyway, they went with this. David Tennant tells Tory politician Kemi Badenoch to shut up in British LGBT awards speech. Now, if you don't know, because you're outside the UK, this is Kemi Badenoch, okay? She is the minister, amongst many of her other duties in the current government. She is the Minister for Women and Equalities and has been since 2022. There's the clue. The Minister for Women and Equalities, everybody. It is her job to speak up for women. And the reason people like Mr. Tennant and Mr. T. Davis and all these other people won't like her is because she's been doing just that and saying that TWs are not women and TM are not men. And suddenly they've gone off, of course, guys, haven't they? And just gone off saying, oh, you're hateful, you're hateful, you're hateful, you're hateful, you're hateful. When she's actually telling truths. And I would like to say to Mr. Tennant at this point, see that little piece of award you've given there? You should be giving it straight over to this woman, because Kemi Badenoch has done more for women and LGBT people than you lot have, and you certainly have. Where were you 40 years ago, Mr. T, when we needed you? Nowhere. So I haven't seen him since 1996, so no idea where he was there. But let's get into the story. Thanks everybody for joining us. We've got to get through this now, so let's get on. During his speech at the British LGBT Awards, David Tennant told Tory politician Kemi Badenoch to shut up in a passionate award speech. The former Doctor Who star was honoured at the glitzy awards ceremony for his support of the trans community, winning the accolade for Celebrity Ally. He was among plenty of stars attending the event, including Rylan Clark, Catherine Ryan, Emma Willis, Scott Mills, and Bruno Tonioli. As he was presented with the award by Catherine, who received the title in 2023, he said, "I am honoured to receive this. I'm thrilled to be here and to be part of this night." While standing on stage, he praised his wife, Georgia Tennant, as he said, "With a slogan, I attract the ire of the occasional online idiot, where I don't have social media. So, even I have to be told about that from my brilliant wife, Georgia, who is the real engine behind anything we do. She educated me about empathy and understanding, and she has been a huge educator for me. But I suppose, if I'm honest, I'm a little depressed by the fact that acknowledging that everyone has the right to be who they want to be and live their life how they want to live, as long as they're not hurting anyone else, should merit any kind of special award or special mention, because it's common sense, isn't it? It is human decency. We shouldn't live in a world where that is worth remarking on." He then referenced Badenoch, who has served as the Minister for Women and Equality since 2022. The politician recently spoke about the Conservatives' pledge to change the 2010 Equality Act, which he said would clarify that sex in the law means biological sex and not new, redefined meanings of the word, claiming that this change would protect women and girls' spaces. That was from The Independent. This move could mean that trans women are denied access to women-only spaces, even if this puts them in vulnerable situations. Badenoch was previously criticised for leaked comments that she made about LGBT rights, which included her using an outdated and offensive term to describe trans people. And yet, for these people, it's all right to use the Q word. Hypocrisy again. Let's get back to the story. In his British LGBT Awards speech, David continued, "However, until we wake up and Kemi Badenoch doesn't exist anymore," to which he got a little bit of a sort of cheer. He then obviously realized what he said, and he said, "I don't wish ill of her. I just wish her to shut up." Whilst I just can't believe he said that, actually. So this event in that... Oh, sorry. Whilst we do live in this world, I am honoured to receive this. I'm thrilled to be here and to be a part of this night. Pride is very important in our house. It's a family affair. We have skin in the game. Skin in the game. We'll come to that. So this event tonight thrills me. It gives me hope. It gives me fire. It gives me energy and deep joy. And even if I feel I don't really deserve this, I'm very pleased and very proud to be receiving it. Thank you all so much. On the British LGBT Awards website, the announcement outlining the winners read, "David is one of the LGBTQ+ community's most fierce allies and supporters. The Doctor Who legend has never been shy about speaking out for his marginalised communities, with the BAFTA nominee mainly focusing his attention on standing with those who identify as trans and non-binary in recent years. David often does red carpet interviews whilst wearing pins associated with the community, with one particular Doctor Who themed TARDIS badge designed in the colours of the trans pride flag, helping to raise thousands of pounds for charities." Julian Clary hosted the special 10th anniversary British LGBT Awards celebration at a star-studded gala in London, where Doctor Who star David and X Factor icon Rylan were among the wager winners. The star-studded crowd included Emma Willis, who reunited with former Big Brother contestant Rylan to present his Celebrity of the Year award. Russell Tovey, Pixie Lott, Adele Roberts, Catherine Ryan, and Nicola Adams were in attendance. The event was hosted by British comedy legend Julian, who opened the evening with an inspired monologue which left audience members howling with laughter as business leaders and organisations with track records of promoting LGBTQ+ people and policies, as well as equality and diversity, were honoured. And yet David Tennant got a rousing reception for misogyny. I can't believe we're at this point now where this is what's going on, all in the name of this. And we all know where he stands politically, guys. We know that he's there. The fact he says we have skin in this. No, you have allegedly, apparently he has an NB child. No, you don't. No, you don't, because there's no such thing as humans being MB, you utter clown. What's that about? Oh, I'm so angry about this, guys. Let me see what's going to the chat while you chat.
Well, I was going to say, it's one of those things about knowing your audience. He was in a place where people would respond that way. And as you said, all the press have kicked off. There've been reactions to it in a more area that does involve common sense, which is interesting. And it's great that the lady from the Tories is actually, doing great stuff to support women's rights and is talking a bit more common sense since the Cass report came out.
I mean, I don't know how that article at the end can talk about those companies that promote equality, and yet previous words say that they promote LGBTQIA, because if you're promoting one, that's not equal to all the others. So it's a contradiction anyway. But everything that clown says is a contradiction. I mean, he doesn't have an NB child at all, as I understand it. It's a boy who they dress as a girl in rainbow stuff and love posting pictures on it because they feel it gives them kudos in that trans area of social media. I think they do it for likes. I didn't think they do it for clicks, like we've discussed already offline. You go back a little bit and it was certain celebrities carrying around little poodles in their shoulder bags and things as an accessory, and it's getting that children like this are becoming a fashion accessory as well. And it's personally, I think it's child abuse. And it said before, we adopted children and we went through a rigorous process of vetting. And if we'd said we were going to, if they said, I want to be a girl, we'd have pushed them forward for gender reassignment and dressed them as a girl and sent them posted pictures and everything with little rainbow hearts over the faces and all the rest, and made a big thing out of it. We'd never have seen children at all. Would have been blacklisted, and that'd have been it. But if you're a celeb or one of those idiots, you can do it. And at some point, that child's going to grow up totally in the head and probably resent them quite a lot. And I hope before they get to that realization, they haven't had some kind of reassignment surgery. But I do feel that they would probably encourage them to have it, because it'll be another little star that they can claim on their little personal trans CV.
This whole thing, as everybody will know, really annoys me, because this cult they are part of and what they are peddling is not only misogynistic, but it's homophobic. It really is. And Avon, hello, Avon Blake is saying to us, hello to everybody in the chat. Avon Blake is saying to us here, I am amazed an organization with LGB in its name awarded him for enabling an ideology, or more accurately, delusive thinking, which seems to have little interest in LGBT people's interest in history. Exactly. And they're now rewriting LGBT history, as you may be aware, Avon, to shoehorn in people that were not there. So the narrative is complete. And I get told so many times as a gay man, you should be grateful for T people being around because they gave you real rights. No, they didn't. Absolutely not. How dare you take away the achievements of many gay men and women, some of whom who died for this, for these liberties that we have now, for these rights we have now. And for these showbiz nullies, these extra, I mean, you're saying that they are really, 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 this is a fad, this is a fashion with them, as it were. I totally agree. Look at that lot in Hollywood, which British people the British show business seem to think they're part of for some bizarre reason. They're all doing this now. Oh, I've got an MB kid. Oh, I've got a T kid. Oh, this and that. No, you have not. Where's the parenting here? And as well, we've seen, and Kirsty's pointed this out as well, we have seen Mrs. Tennant putting out on her Instagram the school that these kids go into, having a pride event. A school. That school needs, in my opinion, investigated by Ofsted. What the hell are they doing? They should be teaching them how to get ready for the reality of the world, how to get ready for work, how to read and how to write. And instead, they're telling them, oh, there's more than two genders, and you can be this and that and this, and you may be born in the wrong body. What is going on with our country? And why are these show business people endorsing it?
I think David Tennant's got too big for his boots, allegedly. And I do think that this may come back to bite him on the bahookie, to use a very Scottish word. Because I do think he's gone a bit too far, you know.
Oh, totally. I mean, well, it is starting to bite. I mean, today as well, for those of you outside the UK, it's got worse for him today. Now, he says he's not on social media with her, but she is. And I hope I hope she's actually. They won't be. They'll be completely blind to all this because they'll have all their lovely friends, and we all know who they are, phoning them up saying, "Oh, are you all right? Oh, they're cruel. They're horrible. They're all right wing. You're right. Blah blah blah." Just Jordan is saying to us here, so live and let live until you don't agree with us, and then we want you gone or shut up. That's exactly what happens. I'm the wrong sort of gay. Kemi Badenoch is the wrong sort of woman. Unless you bend the knee and comply with their dictates, you are ostracized. You are far right. You get called all these things. It's nothing about that. It's about common sense and reality, not ideology.
And
absolutely shocking.
And they want to just simply shut the debate down, so you can't argue with them. It's just shut up, do it my way, or take the highway. Effectively, that's what it is, isn't it?
Well, that came. Go on, Ian.
That's because their mindset and whole ideology is built on sand, and it wouldn't stand up to scrutiny, which is why they want to shut people up. But an important thing as well is during the Brexit referendum campaign, and in the last 3 or 4 years, I think 2 MPs have been murdered because people didn't believe in what they were allegedly standing for. And these supporters, the ones that will clap like demented seals for the likes of Tennant, regardless of what they say, there are some that are the extreme wrong side of sanity. And
totally.
Some will like quite easily to act in favor of what their hero says, you know. And again, at the end of the day, she's an MP. She's on a campaign trail for an election. She's going to be out and about. She's going to be a relatively easy target. Somebody could take a swipe at her in the name of David Tennant, and then his whole world is going to get a hell of a lot worse. And quite frankly, I don't wish ill on her, but you know what? If that happened, then my God, he deserves it.
From my experience, though, Ian, I have to say that any aggression, any alleged aggression, comes from them. Now, there was an event in Brighton at the very weekend, right, where women were chased by TQI plus activists and they were harassing them, and they were chasing them, and they were a baying mob. You might as well have given them the pitchforks. Now, that event they hid in a shop. And the shopkeeper, to her shame, in Brighton, wouldn't house them because she was, no, you're horrible, you're right wing, blah blah blah. All this is there. You can go and look at it. That's where we're at in this country.
Well, simply because they're women. That's crazy.
Because they are women who will be women, and they are turning around as more and more women in this country are saying, TWs are not women, and they shouldn't be in our spaces. And quite frankly, they shouldn't. And what Kemi Badenoch is putting forward here is just that. And what they want to do, and I don't think they've got time to do it now because there is a general election coming up very soon in our country, and the likeliness is that the Labour Party will get in and they're going to scrap all this and go with these ideologies, which means that a lot of compelled speech will come on. We will have to acknowledge these people. We will have to say to them this. We will have to do this or face a fine or even jail time. So I will be doing this show live from a prison cell. It's quite easy though, because I'll just identify as a woman. I'll be next door to J.K. Rowling. It's going to be fantastic.
I was a bit concerned. I had a police car going past twice, and I thought, I'm in trouble now.
This is where we're at. This is where we're at. Reality has gone down the toilet thanks to people like him, and so has freedom of speech and democracy and common sense, just because of an ideology. Because I get what he's saying. Basically, he's going, oh, look, it's about living the life you want to do. But he seems convinced that these people are not having an effect on other people's lives. Yes, they are. You are having an effect on women's rights and women's only spaces, and you're having an effect on LGBT rights and our spaces. It's absolutely obvious. You know, I can't tell you how many times I've been told that I should be starting, as a homosexual man, that I should be starting to include TMs in my dating pool. That's heterosexuality. You know? That's absolutely shocking. That's homophobic. And these idiots, these liberals, like the Tennants and like RTD and like all of them, are supporting it and can't see what they're doing. You know, it's just, I just don't understand where they're going through. But this from David Tennant really, really annoyed me. And isn't it, as I said at the top of the show, isn't it very, very odd that this was all done on Friday and now it's only just come out now?
If it had been the other way and it had been someone on the right or Farage or whatever, you would have heard of it within 5 seconds.
Seconds, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we know what they're like. John, thank you for saying this. Everyone, please check and see if you're still subscribed. I've had to resubscribe. Thanks, yeah. And hi, guys. Hello, John. Nice to see you. Yes, please do. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, it's free to subscribe. Please come and subscribe to us. If you have, just double check that you are subscribed as well. David Rayner is saying to us here, he's on the right side of history. He can do what he pleases with his own children. Are you taking the pee or not? Let me know. Let me know. What's Pooh's Lost Eyes saying here? I knew a kid who was 100% gay but fell, or rather was pushed down the T-rabbit hole and ended up an emotional wreck who destroyed the entire family. That's heartbreaking. I hear a lot of those stories, and we've actually had a couple of viewers who have joined us in the last few months as well, who have got in touch with us via our email, whosviews1@gmail.com, saying that they were completely confused because they thought they were gay, but they've been advised by these organizations that they may be in the wrong body. This is just criminal in my eyes. This is criminal. Misogyny, homophobia, and it's here in today's world. This is not what I was on the front lines for LGBT rights. If I'd known we were going to get to this stage, I possibly would have double thought as the younger man I was. Just Jordan is saying to us here, I hate that they've actually stolen the rainbow. I love bright colors and rainbows, but now it's totally linked to the LGBTQ plus exclusively. Well, just to let you know as well that in prides at the moment, again, what's happening is that LGBT people, gay, same-sex attracted men and women, are being ousted from the prides. That was happening allegedly in the weekend's prides in Edinburgh, which got a little bit aggressive as well, apparently. So, you know, I'm really angry about all this, and I'm very angry that these people, I mean, this is a millionaire actor. This is a millionaire who dares to talk about Kemi Badenoch in that way simply because he doesn't like her politics, simply because he thinks that a man should be a woman. Oh, it gets on my nerves.
He thinks he's privileged, and you know, I'm not a particular fan of the Tories, or some are worse than others, definitely just in the same
with all parties though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Party. But she's right on this, and she's right to describe him as a bigot as well. Yes, she pointed out that she was the only black woman in cabinet too.
Well, let's bring that up, Ian.
Yeah, go on.
I've got that tweet. Let's bring that up now because people won't know what we're talking about. Kemi Badenoch. This broke yesterday, and he actually started to trend twice on X. Mm-hmm. He started to trend twice, and he's still out there today, and it's not backing down. We'll come to why it's not backing down today. But Kemi Badenoch responded, and she did it brilliantly in my eyes. Look
Absolutely.
at this.
Yeah.
I will not shut up. I will not be silenced by men who prioritize applause from Stonewall over the safety of women and girls. A rich, lefty, white male celebrity so blinded by ideology he can't see the optics of attacking the only black woman in government by calling publicly for my existence to end. Tennant is one of Labour's celebrity supporters. This is an early example of what life will be like if they win. Keir Starmer stood by while Rosie Duffield was hounded. He and his supporters will do the same with the country. Do not let the bigots and bullies win. And that's what they are. They are what they say everybody else is and what they purport to dislike. That's what gets me. That again, we've talked about hypocrisy. Here it is.
I would like to say that I'm sure that the fact that Kemi's black's nothing to do with it. If
no,
it was a
absolutely.
White, Tory minister saying the same thing, they would get the same response. So.
I agree, but I think the thing for this is, I mean, there's a famous black Labour MP, Diane Abbott, who's thick with mince, especially if you ask her to add 2 and 2.
That's unkind to mince. Yeah.
Allegedly, everyone's alleged.
Allegedly, yes.
I like mince. But yeah, I mean, but she's not known for her numerical skills, for example, which is a problem for an MP. Because anyhow, but every time she is criticised on anything, then the immediate response is, you're picking on a black MP, you're picking on a black woman. And if it's good for that side, then it's good for the other. It's just like...
No, it's always two rules. It's always two rules.
Jones from Dad's Army. They don't like it up them, do they? They love to deliver it.
Allegedly.
allegedly. But they
But
don't
again,
like
yeah, everything alleged. What we've got to state that now. It's so important. We've got to, this is where we're at. We have to be careful with what we say because we're on this platform as well, which is run by American ideologists. A lot of them, allegedly. So we've got to watch what we're doing, and that's not democracy. That's not freedom of speech. That's what I'm saying has come in. That's what's coming in. We're being told what we can say. It's compelled speech. It's ridiculous. We might as well just sell ourselves to Russia or China now in the West. Let them come in now and let's get it over with, for crying out loud, allegedly.
Well, make it easier when they do take over. So
yeah, but this is the actual thing. There are one rule for them and one rule for the rest of us. And we see this coming through with these people that are running our beloved show and involved with our beloved show now. Because can you imagine the uproar if somebody, as you mentioned earlier, if somebody who was somebody who was middle right wing had said that, as you said, Ian, they would have been there in seconds.
Yeah.
If you look at the Trick Awards yesterday afternoon, the Trick Awards are show business entertainment awards that are held in the afternoon, and they give all these bits of tin for the best news show and all this and whatever, the best this and best presenters and best this things. Again, for the second year running, one of the alternative stations here, GB News, won awards, including the best breakfast show, which you can see on this very platform every morning. So they won that. They won the best interview for a very in-depth interview with one of our presenters, a long-standing presenter in the United Kingdom who's ill at the moment. And then also, because he's been mentioned, Nigel Farage won an award for presenting. Each and every time, the audience booed and hissed. Now, they think it's a big game. I just call it rude because you know where they are. And most of them are probably allegedly BBC employees.
Yeah, very probably.
But that's where we're at. So can you imagine if somebody like him had said something like this on the stage at those awards? Oh, that wouldn't have been tolerated at all. And yet this was all said on Friday and it was only coming out yesterday. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. James Famuk is saying to us, it's the sad truth of today. I just don't understand how we've got here because these people, these extreme left wing, they're so blinded by their own virtue. And this one, he is part of that. He is absolutely like this. He's just gone completely insane as far as I'm concerned.
But as you were saying earlier, it's all been reported in alternative press, which is good because it's been highlighted in lots of different programs. Obviously, no BBC programs, obviously, but lots of other channels have reported it through the past couple of days.
Yeah. And yet, as I say, he will not care because he's made his stance. He's on the right side, blah, 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 nonsense.
Until he's on the wrong side, then he'll jump sides,
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, yeah. Well, it's obviously the cash report. Can you imagine what they must have? I've said this before. Can you imagine what they must have thought when the cash report was published?
In that
they must
house.
be gunning for her as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
They would have been rabid.
Yeah, definitely.
Foaming at the mouth.
Yeah. Raymond is saying to us here, I read the gay man's marriage speech thanking his father for letting him grow up. He always played with the girls, but his dad never thought he was born in the wrong body. He grew up to be happily gay. It's exactly. And yet we've got an awful lot. There's a hashtag out there called Trans the Gay Away. And there's evidence of that. I am sad to report there is evidence of that. What else we got there? Thank you, Bobby D75 for joining us. It's nice to see you. Merry Old Soul Gigglesmith is here as well. Thank you for seeing us. And Problem Being Lee is joining us as well. Nice to see you, Lee. I am still raging. Joe is with us. Hello, Joe. Yes, that says it all there. Yeah, have a look at that one. That's fantastic. Sorry to hear that, Joe, as well. And Talons of Wayne Chiang is saying to us, showbiz types are endorsing this ideology because it's the current in thing. Going against it will ruin their careers. It's their version of McCarthyism.
Yeah.
It's sick, though, isn't it? It's absolutely sick.
It is, and it's cyclical as well. And now that a lot of their stuff, or all of their stuff, is on social media, when the cycle goes around that it's not the in thing, they can't deny it. They have nowhere to go. Exactly. He will, and all his type will at some point get cancelled. And it'll be a pleasure to watch. It really will. Sooner rather than later.
It's exhausting, this as well. As I say, you'll all know now who viewers. I was there in the late 80s and through the 90s as an activist. I did my bit, and now I just see it all unraveled. Because this is not what I thought was going to happen. It's certainly just, I can't believe that, we've got to do this again. We've got to stand for women's rights and LGBT rights all over again. And Mike Disney is with us saying the Tories have presided over all of this. Isn't that the irony? Because yes, they blooming well have. It happened on their watch. I mean, they were so busy getting into bed with, not literally, but they're getting into bed with some.
Well, I don't know those parties, though, allegedly, those COVID parties going on there, but yeah.
But they were so busy
Allegedly.
listening to
Allegedly.
some of their friends, some of their more leftist friends, they turned a blind eye to things that organization Stonewall was doing and stuff. And this has all come through. And now, you lot, it's too little too late, because you're probably going to get booted out next week. It's absolutely ridiculous. And what's happening after the back of this? We've got a long 4 or 5 years coming in where all this is going to take over. As I say, I am terrified, Mike, of what could happen in our beautiful country right now. Joe is saying to us, JT, thank you so much for speaking up for women, girls, and our gay and autistic youth. Not a problem at all. I always have, always will. This is RTD is always going on, isn't he? About I write because this is my life. Well, his life isn't my life, and my life is completely different to his. And the experiences will be very similar. But him, where was he 40 years ago on the front lines when we needed him? Where was DT 40 years ago on the front lines when we needed him, or 30 years ago when we needed him? Nowhere to be seen. None of these people were anywhere to be seen.
No.
I never saw them anyway. Never. So, I don't know. Actors credit. I live in Brighton and that did not happen. I can assure you it did. You can go on to X and you can see that. I can understand people in Brighton coming together to say it didn't happen, but I'm going to say it again. You're one of the cities that are very much involved with this TQ cult. And I know because I've lived there and I see this. And if you're not happy with that, don't really care, because it's a fact.
Video of it,
on
isn't there?
X and Twitter. Go and look at the videos. But thank you for your comment.
There is video of it, isn't there? I'm sure.
Yes. It's all there, and so are those women. And this is the problem with these people. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. These women were hounded by these people in black masks. Oh, they're so brave. And flying that bloody progressive flag. Please, do me a favor. It did not happen. The evidence is there. Moira, good evening to you. Moira Goddard is saying, is there a correlation between this and McCarthyism? It's just a thought. That's a big thought. It's a really big thought. Thank you. Mysterious Stranger 42, nice to see you. Hello, gentlemen, gentlewomen, and gentlethems. On this show, it's just gentlewomen, gentlethems. Actors Crescent is saying this didn't happen again. Yes, it did. It's all there. Go and look at the women that reported it. I am inclined to believe them than the mass strangers that were bullying them and harassing them for being women. No. What else have we got here from the chat? Thank you, everybody, for in the chat here. Geordie boy, nice to see you. These idiots are incapable of sitting down and talking to someone with different opinions. They only shout and scream. Absolutely. And Tennant and that is going to be part of that, isn't it? It's just...
They lack the intellectual ability, allegedly, I think, to debate. I think they probably feel fear when it comes to the option to debate. So they just won't. They'll just revert to aggression and then claim that they're the victim when they get chinned.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem. And yet everything that they're standing for, it's all ideological. Even the Q, the homophobic Q word, is a theory. It usually comes after a theory. And as a very wise lesbian said last year in 2023, everything right of the B is heterosexual anyway. So what's it got to do with LGBT rights, LGBT issues? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing at all. Terrified Monk is saying to us here, it's a shame the way the world is going. I hope everyone is having a great day. Absolutely, I hope everyone's having a great day, because it is very scary. And it's typical, isn't it? Because we were talking just the other day on Headlines about Russell T. Davis and what he wants to do, because he finds the world scary for young people when they contribute to the majority of making it very unfriendly. These people, they really have. Today, however, it got reignited yet again. All this sort of stuff, it really, really did, and it's bizarre with what's going on, because with Kemi Badenoch coming out yesterday, today this happened. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak wades into Badenoch row with actor Tennant. Now, this is from BBC News website. Rishi Sunak has intervened in a row between Kemi Badenoch and actor David Tennant, saying the Doctor Who star is the problem. Oh, look, something I can agree with. Now, believe you me, Rishi Sunak and I don't agree with a lot together. We're not on the same page on many, many things. But on this one, And his insistence that women are women and LGB are LGB, I am. He said they, according to this, the Prime Minister posted on X that freedom of speech was the most powerful feature of our democracy, adding, if you're calling for women to shut up and wishing they didn't exist, you are the problem. I wonder how the teas in the tea house reacted to that.
I'm really glad that he's responded that way, but obviously he realizes he's allegedly not going to get re-elected, so he doesn't care anymore. So, which is good.
Yeah, the cynic in me says that he possibly waded into that so he would look decisive and strong in some people's eyes and might win a few votes.
Possibly.
That's me being cynical. Otherwise, if he felt that way, he's had plenty of opportunity during his entire tenure to have said something when he's stayed suspiciously silent.
Oh,
yes,
totally.
indeed.
Totally. I totally agree. As I say, this happened on their watch. And it's something I will, there's a lot I won't forgive them for, but this is the big one as well, you know. But it puts me in a position because I don't know who to vote for, because you've got all this sort of ideological nonsense that's taken over every party going. Avon is saying to us again, this is really, really important here. Stonewall has a lot to answer for here. Evolved from an LGBT rights movement into professional ideologues for hire. Totally. And allegedly, they got money to start pushing this tea agenda. And I've heard on the grapevine as well, Avon, that once upon a time where Stonewall was actually staffed by lesbian and gay men, it's now all Qs and Ts and the odd LGBT person who actually, of course, are part of the cult movement as well. Shockingly. And it was them that came and said, no debate, TWs are women, TMs are men, no debate on this. And this is why all these pride people who you put the BA Prize together and all the LGBT groups around the country came in, because they were dictated to by Stonewall. Stonewall are in our businesses, they're in our governments, they're in the civil service, they're in our education system, they are everywhere. And people listen to them for the simple reason they did so much good work, but they should have folded. They should have called it a day when we got same-sex marriage. I find the whole thing absolutely ridiculous. The cash report was lost on the Tennants, said Joe Chapman. They wouldn't have even looked at it, Joe, would they?
They'd just dismiss it out of hand without reading it.
Yeah, as evil, as all very right wing. Yeah, and people denying things that actually happen, which you can prove can happen, as we've had this evening. And Merry Old Soul Gigglesmith, well said, that woman, Kemi, standing her ground. This is why I like her. I like her because she stands for LGBT rights, she stands for women's rights, and she sees through. She's got good old-fashioned British common sense, and she actually sees through all this. And she says, "What are you talking about? That's wrong. Sit down." You know, and you can see her in action with some people where they try to wind her up into the whole "be nice, be kind" thing, and she's not having any of it. She says, "It's not about being nice or being kind. It's about fact, and there's the fact. Why are you twisting it?" She's. I like her, and she's got my full support on this one. So there we go. I can't believe it. But I just looked at him and I saw that and just thought, oh my God, where are we at now? This is typical. Welcome to Who's Views, Cara Hughes. It's nice to see you. This new Doctor Who is just so god awful. I mean, all Fruity Shooty does is run away and cry. Yes, we've been looking at that, Cara. I don't know. I've not seen you in the chat before, but come back and join us on Sunday. We're going to be doing. God love us. I was going
to say allegedly there, but that's okay.
No, we're not. We are going to be doing a review of the whole series live on Sunday night. I've been asking the team, the Whotastic panel, for the bits they want to talk about. I've heard nothing back from them yet because it's so hard for them to actually think about it. Joe is saying here, allegedly, Georgia run off Twitter for saying there were two sides in the terrible situation. Yes, now that's the other side. Suddenly they've gone backpedal. They went quiet for a while, didn't they? Because she said something which actually the majority of people, again, would agree with. She got all these people that would usually support her, as they're doing right now, going, "Arr!" And they had to come away from their social media for a little while. But now, because it's back to this whole TQ issue, they're in the good books again. Fickle, 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 fickle.
It's called a photo opportunity, isn't it? That's what it's called, yeah. So.
Yeah. Stuart's with us, everybody. I'm glad I grew up in the 70s and 80s. When I was around 4 years old, I identified as a Dalek.
Me too. Yeah.
Good job you didn't bump into Davros, because he would have done something with you, as in Revelation. And Avon again is saying, yup, JT, it's getting like Orwell's 1984, compelled speech and thought crime. Isn't it? Isn't it really? Nicholas, Nicholas, not seen you for a while. He's always been progressive and liberal. This is different, though. This is more
positive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
this
Progressive,
also,
it sounds positive. You're looking to the future. You're looking to make things better. This is regressive, I would say. I'd say Tennant is regressive.
Yeah. I mean, it's also saying to us, and yet some of you would think otherwise. Like, come on now. There is, you know, I have to say this to you, Nicholas. I'm centre left or left wing. Always have been. Always have been. Was brought up in a working class family to be. You know, never voted Tory in my life. Always vote for one of the others. This is too much now, because what they're doing here, really, with their ideology, is they're denying truth. They are denying truth. And that's the problem here. So this isn't progressive, as Ian says. This is regressive, because they're denying truth to fit a narrative of, oh, we have to be nice, we have to be kind, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. When it comes to this thing, though, as I say, their ideology is stamping all over women's rights, it's stamping all over LGBT rights. And when you speak up against this, you're the wrong sort of woman, or you're the wrong sort of gay man, or you're the wrong sort of lesbian. Oh, it's frightening. 21st century boy. I remember being a gay teenager in the 90s when Section 28 happened, thanks to those who fought for my rights, those who are now pushing our human rights back. Yeah, I mean, I was there. I was one of those that went on the rallies about Section 28. Eventually, allegedly, because of Europe, who said, what's that about? You can't do that. It just happened to be a Labour government. Apparently, that's what happened, although Labour took all the government that I voted for, took all the credit for it. Oh, it's exhausting, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, people keep saying that Section 28 is coming back. No, it's not. It's common sense. 2 genders. No such thing as MB. Leave the kids alone. Cute Pyro Zero, thank you so much for your super chat. The LGBTQ plus have done more harm than any good. As someone who's trans, I said before, I condemn these actions. Pride is now exclusive and not inclusive. Cute Pyro and I have been chatting. Yes, we absolutely on the same page together. I mean, I have trans friends as well. They want nothing to do with any of this. These activists are apparently acting on their behalf, and they'll come and say, nothing to do with us. No, I don't want any of this. You know, no. And they're acting in the name of people that not everybody wants to be acted for. So thank you, Cute Pyro. It's lovely to see you. Thank you so much for your support. And it just shows, doesn't it? You know, we have everybody watching us here, and not everybody's a bad person. We're not. Yeah. We're just, a lot of us just have common sense. I'm actually agreeing with Lee on this one. Kemi for PM. I think even though there's a lot of policies I don't agree with that party, I would probably sleep at night, knowing that women's rights and gay rights, LGBT rights, are okay with Kemi. And Digby, thank you very much as well for your super chat. Keep fighting the good fight. Remember, telling the truth in a time of lies is a revolutionary act. Even more so, I think, from next Friday morning. I'm going to disagree completely with Nicholas, and I'm going to show it but not read it. You're wrong. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. And if you think that a TW is a woman and can go into safe spaces, this isn't the show for you, my friend. Not at all.
So misogynistic.
Totally. And delusional and brainwashed. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Horrendous.
No, absolutely not. Okay, what else we got here, everybody? Thank you so much for all your comments, even the ones I don't like. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Digby is saying to us here, hi to Daryl, who's joined us as well. I hate the way progressive has been hijacked by the identity politics crowd. They are reactionaries. They are making new divisions, and they turn up at events in black hoods.
Yeah, so why they're hiding their identity? That's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Isn't it just? Because I tell you what, the majority of them are bully boy men and boys. Bully boy men and boys who come along just to shout at women. That's misogyny. They come along to shout at gay men and women. That's homophobia. And yet they are getting into bed and being supported by politicians and businesses and absolute idiots in the civil service and show business. They make me ill, these people. They really, really do. Can you tell? Can you tell everybody?
How's your blood pressure? Is it okay?
Yeah. Cute Pyro is actually with me here as well. JK is doing right. Love JK. Love J.K. Rowling. Can't wait for her new Harry Potter series. That's all coming. We're going to be reviewing it on this show. Kirsty,
I don't think Radcliffe will get a job in it, will he?
I think this is why a lot. This again will be the hypocrisy of show business, because the Kirsty will sell everybody in the chat, because Kirsty and Problem Being and I think Garbage are in the chat. Thank you guys for looking after everybody in there. Lisa is saying J.K. Rowling is amazing. I love her. She stands up for women and LGBT. She's absolutely amazing. And Kirsty is saying J.K. is based. Okay, just keep an eye on him. Don't just keep an eye on him. That's all. We don't want to censor anybody, because free speech is fine. I'm a big one of that.
Is Nicholas a regular viewer? Is he a new viewer to the?
He comes across every now and then.
Okay, that's one of the
that one. I'm not having anything saying he was right, because that idiot on that stage taking his piece of tin was not. That was misogynistic nonsense. What was I saying about JK? Yeah, we've got the new showrunner coming in that's been employed partly by J.K. Rowling. We've got a new producer, haven't we, Kirst, coming in. Kirsty and I are still trying to get a little role in it. Ooh, we're so excited. Who's this? Magnet Mountain 33. Doctor Who as bad as the World Health Organization. Oh, that's clever. I like that. That's quite good, actually. I like that one. Thank you, Magnet Mountain, because they're all very concerned about the way they look. You say, yeah, absolutely. So isn't it? Oh, and to Geordie Boy, thank you so much for your super chat, telling us here all this common sense talk has made me generous. Well, thank you so much for that. I do appreciate it. I appreciate that. Yeah. So thank you. Really, really appreciate it. Oh man, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm calming down now. Thank you, everybody in Whose Views. I've been so looking forward to venting since yesterday. And talking to you guys about it and just saying, look, don't believe the nonsense from them, but you don't, because you're all sensible. And we have a great community here, so thank you for being part of it. And Problem Being is saying Tennant is a straight white man attacking women for standing up for their rights and protecting children, whilst his is allegedly transing the gay away of his own, all in the name of virtue, progressiveness, inclusion, diversity, acceptance,
and bandwagons.
Yeah. And bandwagons, Paul. Yes. Absolutely. Raymond is saying JK is far more
your child.
So Hollywood. JK is far more brave than Tennant, says Raymond. She's received death threats from misogynists daily for the last 6 years. And from T's inclusive friends, so-called friends. Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. So that's where we were up to all that, everybody. Somebody there who was at Avon Blake. He was saying, I wonder what Gareth Roberts thinks of all this. Oh, quite a lot. Yesterday, he tweeted this. If you are permitted to speak only on the condition of good behavior and told to shut up if you say something bad, that isn't freedom. It is parole. And yes, that is a subtweet. He's been busy since as well, saying a couple of other things and doing something I never thought he would. He actually mentioned in one of his tweets. So, yeah, you know. However, if you are interested in hearing, he won't be discussing this particular thing, of course, but he will be here in our special edition of Whose Views, where I am chatting with Gareth Roberts himself. We are talking about this very subject and his book, which is out now, called The Rise of Gender Ideology and the New Homophobia. That's all there. It's out there right now. It's a cracking read. But isn't this perfect timing? Absolutely perfect timing. So thank you, David Tennant, for being a complete and utter. And
Gareth strikes me as being somebody who's going to be on the right side of history.
Yes. Yeah.
We discussed that in the show to an extent, but I hope you're going to enjoy that. If you are interested in hearing what Gareth is going to say, this arrives this Friday at 8 o'clock here on Whose Views.
It'll be good.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be fantastic.
Breathing, and I'm breathing, everybody. Cute Pyro is giving us £2. Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate that. So many people need to learn to respect LGBT or not. Totally. Absolutely. And it's got to that point, hasn't it? I mean, we've spoken about this, Cute Pyro. We've got to the point where the T was pushed on us for a reason I still don't know. Then the Q, and an I, and an A. It's like countdown. Then another A. And now in America, where all this stems from, no disrespect as ever to anybody in America, you know, I don't mean any disrespect, but it does stem from you.
So can I ask as a
P is
straight
there.
bold?
I'm gonna say, mate. P is
Right.
there. And yesterday, out of all this, I also learned about the Z.
There's a what?
Z.
There's a Z.
Now, a Z, I think is called zoophilia.
That's not the furries, is it?
No. This is people, and we won't go into this too much because I only found out about this yesterday, but they're adding it on. These are people who should have rights for being attracted to animals.
Oh.
So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. This is how mad the ideological left have gone. Extreme. It's unbelievable. Thank you.
I'm just checking for my gun.
So that really should be a B for bestiality then, instead, allegedly.
It should be, really. Yeah, that's just absolutely sick.
I was going to ask what the A stood for. That was maybe my question. I'm a bit confused.
Asexual, which is
one of the
A's.
Right.
One of the A's is asexual, Paul, which is about as far away from same-sex rights as you could possibly get. Yeah. Because I have never met in my life, maybe Lee or anybody else has, maybe Pikehead here has, I've never met an asexual gay man in my life.
So that's going back unopened, I think it's called, isn't it? Yeah.
It's everything they can because of this. And I don't know why it always gets tagged on. Why can't you breeders have it? Why can't you lot have all these? Because you're all straight anyway. You're with all your weirdos and your perversions. Why push it on my lot? I just don't get it. Pikehead 1 is saying I'm left-wing and I hate this rubbish. This cuts both sides of the political divide. Totally agree. I'm actually more left-wing than I am right-wing. I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. One of my best mates said to me at Christmas time, listen, Jay, we didn't leave the left left us, because we remain exactly where we are with bloody common sense, Pikehead 1. But it's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And what else we got? Alien airplanes. Hello, mate. What are you saying to us? I'm going to be honest. Burning media is not a good idea. A very bad group of people did that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And Stephen, history's repeating. It's just on the other side of the coin, as far as I'm concerned, mate. And Stephen Braddock is saying, right on, Gareth Roberts. Yes, this Friday here on the channel at 8 o'clock, that video will drop for you. So come and have a look at that for us. Nicholas is back saying to us, Doctor Who is far more entertaining than, say, Harry Potter anyways. Possibly a little bit of bias, Nicholas. Possibly. I know which one's successful. And Joe Chapman is saying, Gareth is a lovely man, brilliant. We're going to be talking about the success of this version of Doctor Who in just a couple of minutes. Let's have a look what else. And just Jordan is saying to us, JK is genuine. No matter what people say to her, the threats, etc., she doesn't back down. This isn't a fad for her. No, and it can't be, because I had somebody saying on the channel, Just Jordan, can you please cut out all the politics from Who's Views? Don't know me very well. No, of course not. And this is what this show is designed to be, because when these people who are associated with Doctor Who bring the politics into it, we're blooming well going to talk about it, especially if it's utter nonsense like they are, and if they're losing the plot, and they should perhaps possibly be seeking therapy. Go on.
I was going to say, we just want entertaining Doctor Who. That's what we want, and that's a hard thing to find, isn't it?
Could you imagine, Paul, had they just produced good action, adventure, science fiction Doctor Who with none of this thing? This show wouldn't be on, would it, really? We'd have the job. Yeah, we'd have to adapt. But it's even now in the official Doctor Who magazine, all this nonsense with very homophobic language in there as well. I can't read it with all the Q this and Q that. It makes me blooming puke. That's it, Mike. Thank you very much for correcting me on that one. Appreciate that so much, Mike. That's it. I still can't say it properly. Zoophilia.
Is it the same as bestiality, is it?
The whole concept of that makes me very, very angry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thinking a dog cute's one thing, but taking it further is a different thing entirely.
Yeah, but this is what I don't understand. What's it got to do with LGB, apart from Sweet FA? I don't get it. Kirsty says she saw some furries at the weekend, scarred. Again, why are they in what was once upon a time LGB Pride? Yeah, I just don't understand all these delusions.
Because it celebrates deviancy now, doesn't it? It celebrates deviancy. It celebrates.
Yeah.
I'm sure when it was LGB, it wasn't about stripping virtually naked and shoving things in the faces of children.
No, that never happened.
It is now.
That never happened on the prides I was on originally in the late 80s and into the 90s. It was a political demonstration of strength, and that's what it was all about. And it was hard work because, of course, you couldn't get the permits to run through the cities or town like you can now because they've all bent the knee. You had to really have meeting after meeting after meeting to say to them, well, listen, can we just have that much then? Can we have one street? Can we get to the park? You know, can we do this? Can we do that? It was so much more. And then, you know, it was a case of you had to have the whole thing to say, right, in those days it was all about, of course, the Tory government that was in at the time as well. Happy days. It was all happy days. I mean, it was all about this and that. But you didn't see that many people from show business. They didn't want to know us. So there was hardly any entertainment there. You didn't see MPs like you do now, all dressed up in rainbows and looking like something from Rainbow and, you know, nonsense and Rainbow Bright and Care Bears. You didn't see big businesses. They didn't want to do it like they do in June now, where they change all their logos. That never happened. No. It's because now they are, in my estimation, every single one of them are 30 years late. And they've come to the party late when all this ideology is there as well, and all these lies are there. But because they missed it first time around, this is where I think the Tennants come in as well. There's a bit of guilt there, I think. Yeah. We didn't do the bit before, and now we've got our kids being brought up in this, oh, we mustn't judge them like what happened in the 70s and 80s and the early 90s. Because don't forget, in Britain, you could be fired for being a lesbian or gay man up until 1999. You know? It was just ridiculous. Shane Smith, thank you very much for your super chat, and you've got us a super sticker. Enjoy. I hope that's fine. I hope that's lovely. So thank you. I really appreciate that. It's nice to see you. What else? You're all chatting away. That is fantastic. Roberts is saying that. How does an A share a community with LGB? No idea. But that's all there. Simon, hello Simon, nice to see you. Thank you for your emails. Thank everybody for the emails as well. But nice to see you, Simon. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you. Backup is with us as well. Nice to see you. Guy is saying to us, just about every alleged right-wing YouTuber I follow is actually centre left. Isn't that the irony? Because you're absolutely right. I don't know any hard right people, although that frightens me, to be quite honest, because I just think the real right, I think they're there laughing and biding their time, and it frightens me because the ideological extreme left are doing all the work for them. Do you not
waiting to pounce?
Yeah. Oh goodness me! 20th Century Boy saying to us, common sense rules. Nice to see you, mate. Thank you very much. And what else have we got here? Oh, Graham, thank you so much. You're saying never change. Oh, well, I can't. I'm too old now. I'm not going to be bothering, mate. And this is the best channel on YouTube. Well, we'd agree with that, wouldn't we, gentlemen?
Yes, we do our best.
Thank you, Graham.
We aim to please.
I am totally going to agree with that as well, Graham, of course. And what do you... Is he implying... Was Graham implying there that there's other channels?
I've never heard of any.
No, neither have I.
No, not at all. No, I think
believe that at all. I think
they're all imposters, obviously. That's what it is. Yes.
Oh, well, I wouldn't know any of it.
Allegedly.
Carwin is back with us. Hello, Carwin. Carwin Morris. Hello, nice to see you. Americans love putting things in pigeonholes. The problem with putting people in categories is it separates them from everyone. It's a socially acceptable segregation. Quality of character first. Totally agree. Segregation is back. And they don't realize it because they are absolutely besotted with labels and putting people into pigeonholes, as you say, Carwin, so they can understand it. Thank you for your tweet. I totally agree with you. Your message there. I really agree with you. Lex is with us. Thank you for your super chat there, Lex. Nice to see you. If only J.K. Rowling would head right Doctor Who, she wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, mate. She's got her own little empire going on there. And it's far more successful. It's far more successful, isn't it? Let's face this one as well. And we are coming to that in a second. And Dave, BFTBG, reminds me of a book by Roald Dahl. Oh, there's another problematic person. It's not about equal treatment anymore. It's about oppressing anyone who doesn't think the right way. Got you. Totally. I'm the wrong sort of gay, mate. Never thought I'd see this. I've lost friends over this that I've known for 40 years. Because I won't say, no, that's not right. That's biologically incorrect. There's a difference between being nice and being real. And no, I won't include these people in my dating pool because that's not who I am. So there we go. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. It's nice to see you all. Got a lot of you in the chat. You've helped calm me down. You've helped to calm me down. Yeah, really. Thank you so much for being with us. Let's move on then to our second story. And have you heard that the spinning is still spinning? Yes, as I said previously on another show, this lot have more spins than Wonder Woman in more ways than one. Have you seen this today from radiotimes.com? This will cheer us all up because this will make you laugh. The BBC defends Doctor Who ratings. The show is top drama for under 35s this year. Everybody give it a round of applause.
Whoop, whoop.
Hooray!
Yeah.
The broadcaster also noted that the first episode of the season has already been watched by nearly 6 million viewers and continues to grow.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry, was that you?
I was just coughing.
I thought, clear your throat.
It may have allegedly sounded like bollocks, but it wasn't.
It was clearing your throat.
Yeah,
but this is what they are saying. This is the latest. This is today, this morning. Let's crack on with it. They continued. While the future of Doctor Who is already confirmed in the short term, with the show returning for a Christmas special this year, oh good, and another season next year, can't wait. Beyond that, things are currently less certain. This is because the show's fate in its current form rests with Disney Plus, who the BBC did a deal with for the new era. Not only does Disney distribute the series internationally, it also helps to finance it, something they didn't dare say to us last year. This means that while the show could continue without the streamer, its budget may have to be slashed. Oh dear, as if we're not used to that.
Yes, what a shame that would be. Yeah.
It would. The question of the show's future following what has been described as season 14's underwhelming ratings was raised in a recent article in the Times, no less, and now the BBC has weighed in. A BBC spokeswoman told the publication, overnight ratings no longer provide an accurate picture of all those who watch drama in an on-demand world. This season of Doctor Who premiered on iPlayer nearly 24 hours before broadcasts, and episode 1 has already been viewed by nearly 6 million viewers and continues to grow. Doctor Who remains one of the most watched programs on iPlayer and is the BBC's top drama for under 35s this year, making it one of the biggest programs for the demographic across all streamers and broadcasters. Have you ever heard?
I know what you're saying, GT. You're still shocked by that 6 million figure. Bedweer or something say about that, I'm sure. 6 million.
Have you ever heard, apart from what Tennant was saying on Friday and what Russell T Davies is saying every blooming day, a bigger bag of elephant whipping? Yes, exactly. Have you ever heard that, everybody? But yes, we do know somebody who can confirm this properly, don't we? Never fear, Bedweer is here. Let's bring him on. So, Bedweer, what did you think of that then from this morning?
Well, I'm glad to come on and get into the safe territory of facts and numbers. But yes, it's I don't know where they've got 6 million from.
Down the back of the sofa, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm going to say there must be some creative accountancy going on, because the plus 28s that I've seen so far aren't even over 4.5 million.
Well,
so how it's got up to 6?
Isn't it funny? Let's just say before we crack on with what you're going to say, Lex, thank you very much again for your super chat. Did you notice the Rose character was put out of focus in Pointless Doctor Who finale? Sutek looks like a villain from Stargate. Stargate? I've forgotten about Stargate. That's going back a bit, isn't it? I'd forgotten all about that, Lex. What I noticed about the Rose character was he wasn't there as much as we all thought.
Yeah.
And I wonder
he was somewhat sidelined, I believe.
Yeah. So thank you for that, mate. Lex, thank you very, very much. And John's saying to us, top marks for reading that without laughing. Well, I nearly got there.
It was tough.
There was some laughter.
There was some laughs, but that's what we've got to do now as well, because this is all insane and they've got to be brought down, and humor's the only way I know how to do it. Right, so I'll tell you what, before we go to these ratings as well, Bedweer, let's look at that article there as well, because you actually noticed something about that article, didn't you? Because you messaged me this morning, because what they've got there is go on explain.
So to explain what happened, I found this quote from this BBC spokeswoman, and I wanted to know where it had come from. So I put in a normal search engine search for the for the opening sentence, overnight ratings no longer provide an accurate picture of all those who watch drama in an on-demand world.
Yep.
And JT, you might bring up that it's not an original line. So that sentence about overnight ratings was actually used back in March when referring to a different BBC drama that also had lousy ratings. That was Michael Sheen's The Way, that was on BBC in February, March, and the same line was trotted out then. So they are just trotting out the same line about overnight ratings don't matter. They're no longer reflective. But as we'll go through, we'll prove that overnight ratings are indeed important and make up the bulk of your +7 and your +28 numbers when you're counting on your fingers and toes.
Do you know what? Everything. It's like where we've been doing the Friday previews from the TV guides here in the UK. Okay. And I've been saying, I'm getting the feeling this is all organized and it's all just given as a press pack for all the shows that are coming up over the 8 weeks. And then this one's this and this one. And all they have to do is look in it and take the pictures and take and print them. This looks like the BBC may have its own version of an off-the-rack statement. And they've just copied and pasted it, thinking, and they forget Doctor Who fans like us are quite anal. And we will go and look at all this stuff. Do you know what I mean? We will go and find this. And they forget that, don't they? Anyway, let's get on with this. Now, before we get onto the ratings update that you've very kindly put together for us, you do have a update on the cinema scores, don't you, from The Legend of the Ruby Slippers and Empire of Death on Friday?
Yeah, so for the first time since 2013, we have actual UK box office numbers to look at, and they've been trickling out over the last couple of days. So the double header, if you will, on Friday night brought in a respectable £364,353 at the UK box office. It was in 276 cinemas for a site average of £1,320. Decent numbers. I mean, it was a Friday night. The screenings didn't start till 11 p.m. and went on past midnight, and then people were sat in their cars going on TikTok bemoaning the fact that they wasted their money.
Could have told them that.
But so what I tried to break it down. So according to the UK Cinema Association, the average price for a standard cinema ticket in 2013 was £7.92. So if we say on average people paid £7.92 to watch Doctor Who, it equates to about 46,000 tickets sold. So not massive, but it's the only real comparison we can make is with the other cinema broadcast of Doctor Who, which was the Day of the Doctor back in 2013. Now, obviously, that was at a more convenient time of day, well, early evening in the UK. And so that not only charted at number 3 instead of number 4, up against the other movies that had full weekends. It also was in slightly more cinemas, so 440 cinemas carried the Day of the Doctor back in 2013. And overall, it pulled in £1.8 million in revenue. And again, going back to what the average ticket price, so according to the Film Distributors Association, the average ticket price was about £6.48 in 2013. So that equated to 277,500 tickets sold. So quite a difference. Again, context of different screening times and stuff like that. You know, if you want to make those excuses, that's fine. But presenting the numbers, this is how they look. So 46,000 people based on an average cinema income, average cinema ticket, you know, respectable across 276 cinemas, I suppose. But I'm just presenting these numbers. Feel free to make your own conclusions.
Exactly. But that's that there. So I don't think we need to say anything more about that, really. But that's what it. looks like. I mean, I just want to say to Joe as well. Joe's saying, "Oh, my son came in and said he will make me tea if I'm busy with my Doctor Who pals." Well, good lad, good lad. Well done, looking after your mum there. Well done. Sorry, Medway, go ahead.
So someone just one of the comments you just popped up that people paid £15 for the privilege of watching Doctor Who. So if that's nearly double our $7.92, and we're looking at 23,000 people. Not a massive lot of people flocking to the cinemas to watch Doctor Who at midnight on a Friday.
Well, surprise, surprise.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah, and again, it was the Disney dictate. They had to put it on to go through midnight because that's when Disney has dictated the BBC can show the episode, because that corresponds with it being at a normal and proper time everywhere else in the world. I don't think this has been a good deal personally. I would have rejected this business deal completely. I have to say, I don't like. Yeah, they've gone for the money.
No, this goes didn't do well. This goes back to when they first announced that they were doing the iPlayer first at midnight. It would be available on Disney, at a convenient time for the LA and New York audiences in the US. And then they go and decide that they're going to put it in the cinema without realizing, actually, how many people are going to go at midnight. And had it been a more convenient time at, say, 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday afternoon, they might have done significantly better when it came to the box office.
Exactly. Well, I don't know.
The thing was, in 2013, Doctor Who was in a better position, and Day of the Doctor got, was it 13.5 million or something like that for its broadcast audience, thereabouts? Yeah. So it was in a much better place, wasn't it? So it was madness putting it in the cinema, wasn't it?
Yeah, totally. We've got Dave Heitman, 1997 here. Welcome to Who's Views. It's nice to see you. I wouldn't even pay that much to watch Doctor Who in the cinema. No. Matt532 saying, blimey, I'd be skipping the pick and mix. Well, yeah.
Take your own, allegedly.
Well, yeah. Well, because they were View cinemas, I believe, as well. So, yeah, I mean, the snacks would have been huge prices there.
I mean, I have heard quite a few stories. People turning up with tickets for 10:35 p.m., but actually the screening didn't start until 11 with The Legend of Ruby Sunday. And then you had a 10-15 minute break to go and get those snacks. However, at that time of the day, cinemas were closed, so none of those snacks were available. Mm-hmm. It was, by the sounds of people not only bemoaning the fact that they had to watch Empire of Death, but also the cinema going experience is completely, not gone down well.
Trashed, absolutely. And then we have to remember, as we talked about briefly as well, the reaction from some of the fans that went to this thing wasn't good either to the episode. A lot of them just didn't like the episode. So you can look at that from our show we did on Sunday, which is the review of Empire of Death. We mentioned a couple of them in there. Avon is saying to us here, did anyone go to a screening? The group signs must have been deafening. They were. We have got a couple of people in our chat that have been, and I think they're very kindly going to send some details for us. We can talk about that on a future show. Peter's saying to us here, too late for me. I'm only just getting up at midnight vampire time. Yes, you would think so. Talons of Wayne Chiang, who's saying to us the 18 to 35 crowd were probably in a club at that time. I would have hoped so, but you did get a few of them go into this thing. Russell T Davis was at one of them. Some of the actors were at some of them, or some of the background actors. And Daryl Joyce is saying, but it's all about fantasy these days, so they're just carrying on their current theme. Yeah. So let's get into the report that you've done for us here about the ratings. Let's start with the usual graph. We'll start with this one.
Yeah, so this is an update to our cumulative graph. You might have seen a few times if you're a regular to the show. So since we last saw it, we've had obviously the overnights for Empire of Death at 2.25, which is a slight improvement and the best we've had since 73 yards. We've also had the Legend of Ruby Sunday, so the +7s for Legend of Ruby Sunday coming out at 3.495 million viewers. We'll talk a bit about that. I've also seen a +28 number for Boom, which is the additional purple block you can see in Boom's column, of 4.2 million in total over 28 days. I haven't had a chance to confirm that But again, not adding massive viewership beyond that 7-day period.
Can I just say my maths isn't very good, but there's no 6 million on Space Babies. I can't see it unless it's very, very small print.
No, the plus 28s I've seen for Space Babies was 4.39 million. Devil's Cord is slightly better at 4.44 million. Neither of those is 6.
So the question is, where's the 6 coming from? And again, if it's the iPlayer, prove to me it's not the diehard fans, for want of a better word, going back and watching it over and over and over and over and over again, as they do. You cannot prove to me that is the great British public going to watch that show, because it isn't. They're not watching it.
These numbers come from the BARB, who are either being provided with or tracking independently iPlayer numbers in order to get to these plus 7 and plus 28 figures. So if their maths is wrong, then they wouldn't be putting out these numbers.
Maybe the 6 million is their estimate of the plus 98s.
Yeah. That's the thing, though. When they did Barb ratings originally, did they not have they measure it via various households, then they multiply it? So it's an estimate anyway, in any sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose you could actually say that as well, because the way they're doing it now, the way they accumulate their figures now is incredibly unreliable, because they're saying, right, this is coming in. Now we've got the plus 7 things, or the 4 devices thing, the 28-day thing. Make up your blooming minds. I think they should take it back to the old days where it was just bums on seats overnight.
Yep.
And never mind all the other stuff, because all the other stuff is just making you say, oh, there's a relevance for the BBC, there's a relevance for the shows that we're pushing out on ITV, there's a relevance for this, and this. No, let's get back to the fact is, if they're not coming to you on the night, there isn't really.
No,
I think it's twisted personally.
We've heard this argument again and again, and in that statement that you provided from the BBC spokeswoman was that overnights do not matter. They are not reflective of the on-demand nature of television. But as that graph proves, the bulk of your audience is those who tune in, and your overnight number makes up a significant proportion of that column. Your plus 7s, in Doctor Who's case, are the pre-transmission viewers, the post-transmission iPlayer streamers, all that sort of stuff. It's still in the minority compared to the number of people that sit down on a Saturday and watched it on BBC One. So until that switches, that argument is inaccurate.
Dalek, I love you, is saying to us, but two friends of mine went into the cinema and sent a photo of themselves. There was a lot of empty seats behind them. I suppose there would be when it's depending where you are in the country. In London, of course, it was packed, apparently. Digby Strawbridge is saying, are the Disney numbers being added in? Are the classic series views being added in too? No. The Disney numbers is something totally different. We're just looking at the British Audience Research Bureau figures for the overnights and the plus 7s and everything else they talk about, as Bedouin is very kindly pointing out to us. We're only talking about them. We haven't even got to the Disney figures yet. That's a completely different ball game. It really, really is. And the classic series views are not being added in, and they're not actually being reported because there isn't, is there, Bedouin, an actual a specific list for iPlayer?
No, there's not, because it's kind of for streaming, and until those numbers are significant enough to get into like a top 100 list, it doesn't register on the BARB, and obviously the BARB are counting stuff that goes through and across Netflix and Amazon Prime, and so there's lots of competition. So I'm hopeful that we might in the next few days get the overnight score for what Pyramids of Mars did on BBC 4.
Yeah, they're really late with this, aren't they?
Last week.
Well, really late.
I mean, because again, BBC 4 is a digital channel. It's not given the attention that BBC One, ITV, etc. Those channels are reported every day for overnight.
And it's BBC 4, which no bugger watches anyway.
Well, I'd be surprised. Yeah, I'd be surprised if the BBC 4 average for that time slot was not significantly exceeded because it was Doctor Who. But
well, let's have a look at this because you've done a lot of work for us again. Let's have a look at this update for us.
Yeah, so this is our overnights. We've spoken already about how important the overnights are. And this is the context of where Empire of Death has come in. So this is the lowest overnight figures. So a premiere broadcast on BBC One for an episode of Doctor Who. These are the lowest ratings we've pulled in so far. And Empire of Death, a decent showing at 6th on this list at 2.25, which means that Legend of Ruby Sunday, the previous episode, was a very lowly 2.02 million and the worst of the series. So a little bit of an uplift from that for Empire of Death, but still not reaching the heights that Doctor Who was at the start of the series, Space Babies and the Devil's Cord, before it seems everyone turned off.
I'm glad Legend of the Sea Devil's doing really well. That's encouraging.
Number 5, look at that.
Yeah.
Number 5, that is. I mean, what's the Eater of Light? Says Terrified Monk. Don't know.
That was
Capaldi episodes from season 10.
It's one of those that should have worked as well, because wasn't that the one with the monks? And
no, that was one written by Ronan Munro, the one that
had
that was
crap.
The Romans in it.
Yeah, I didn't like that one.
Yeah,
no,
yeah. It should have become the Eaters of Crap. You're right. Yeah,
I can't remember that one.
Yeah,
then I'm with you, Terrified Monk.
Yeah.
And we've also got Graham saying I didn't watch that Cut Down Pyramids. No interest in watching a butchered version of a classic. Oh, God.
No,
it's
I wish
awful.
I had.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It was terrible, wasn't it, gentlemen? And Steph is with us as well. Hello, Steph. How are you? Lovely. Disney will know their own real numbers and won't be happy. In countries like Australia, which have had Doctor Who since the 60s and where new Doctor Who rated highly until recent years, Disney would have expected better. Excellent point. Because they would have done, wouldn't they? But you had to pay for Disney.
If the Disney numbers were good, they'd be shouting them from the rooftops.
Yeah,
absolutely.
By now, wouldn't they? Yeah, they really would. And it just shows again that possibly, even though they invested money into this show, it's just that little British thing. Because look at the fuss they've made with the Star Wars nonsense that's gone out. They really went out of their way to say this got 4 million. Oh, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Never mind the British thing. No, we don't need to defend that. We're going to get rid of it. Allegedly. Carwin is saying this is the Legend of the Low Ratings. Yes. And it's written by Badenoch. It's also going to be available on audio CD, movies, holographic streams. We're going to really market it. We've got Pete saying to us they had old episodes of the Antiques Roadshow on BBC 4 the other day with Angela Rippon and Arthur Negus. Oh, bless
Arthur Negus, lovely. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to hunt that out now, Pete. And Cute Pyro, you're very, very naughty. You can polish a turd, but a turd is still a turd. Naughty but nice.
Can't argue with that, though.
No, you can't. Yeah, there's no argument there.
No, you can't argue with that at all. Right, so we've got that one. So thank you. That translates into this then that you've done for us. Now, this is the pre-transmission viewers.
Yeah, so one of the quirks, shall we say, of this season of Doctor Who has been the fact that it has been available on the iPlayer from midnight in advance of it being shown on BBC One. And you can see how the trend has generally ticked upwards as more and more people have got into the habit of watching Doctor Who on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, rather than waiting for the BBC One broadcast. And we can just see that there was a slight drop in the number of people that did that, from 297,000 to 283,000. So a slight dip, but perhaps that is the number of people that went to watch it in the cinema and wasted that money instead.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? This really is interesting stuff. And again, thank you so much for bringing all this to us, because it really, really is. And we love this as Doctor Who fans. We've got Melanie Weston Investigates saying to us here, it'll be interesting if Disney say yes to season 3 or not. Just bearing in mind, though, I reckon, I've said it before, season 3 will happen. It's the format that will, tell us more. Will it be another 8, or will it be a series of 4, or will it be 1 hour special spread throughout a year? Because whatever happens, even if Disney pull out, there will be a series 3, so that people like us get egg on our faces, which we won't do. Expect a series 3, but the format will be very interesting. Julianne, hiya Julianne. Another series of RTD and Legend of the Sea Devils will be out of the bottom 10, Bedweer. It's likely, isn't it?
Which is very worrying, isn't it?
Yeah, potentially. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm coming around to your way of thinking, JT. I'm starting to expect that a series 3 will happen.
Mhm.
I'm not sure that Disney will put up the money, and there might be a certain individual who leans heavily on Bad Wolf to stump up the money to get season 3 out, just to,
to save face.
defy us.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
just to prove no, it is fine because we're going to do a series 3, and I think it will be more about bravado and getting that series 3 made, irrespective of whether people are going to watch it or not.
Do you know what the other clue will be, of course, as well? All these blooming alleged specials. What is the point? I've said this before. What is the point in doing spin-offs when you can't get the main show right and nobody's watching the main show apart from some diehard brainwashed young people? What's the point in that? Because they're going to get hit by the lack of merchandise sales. That's going to hit them hard because they all thought they were going to make money off that, which they could reinvest into shows or whatever they were going to do with it. But they could, whatever. That's not really going to happen, is it? The classic series is still going to outweigh everything that this new version sells, because we saw that with the Chibnall era. It's happening again. I mean, that's what they did with the Chibnall era as well, allegedly. Everything's alleged. So, that's what they did there. They went for that last few episodes, didn't they? Just to tie everything up. And, you're going to get this and all that. Oh, please, there's bigger stories there.
If the budget for the so-called spin-off hasn't been spent yet, they could potentially veer off and use that 5-episode budget to do series 3, because if it's still in the accounts, as it were, they've still got that money to spend. They might go that way and scrap the spin-off.
Haven't they done a lot of pre-production on that already, though? Haven't they?
Allegedly, we hear that they are now. Doctor Who's on a break as Ncuti goes off and does other stuff, and because they've done season 2 in the can. Season 2 is in the can, everybody. We know that. So now there's a production break for Doctor Who, and allegedly, I'd heard that they were going to film this Legend of the Sea Devils spin-off thing, whatever it's called. What was it? He mentioned it in the show. What's it called? Let's not say it in case we get into trouble. But this Sea Devil thing was going to be this summer for next year, filming this summer, and we heard that. But Bedri is right, and I still believe that myself. If that is suddenly not a produce pool, because the Disney deal was for that and so many episodes, and it included that, they looked at it and said we could do it.
I'm just wondering though, if they have gone to pre-production and they've cast some of it potentially, then whether or not they pull it.
Whatever happens,
there are contract logistics to get around and stuff, isn't there?
If they're going ahead with it, we will know shortly. We're expecting an announcement any time about that. But I reckon there might be some serious board meetings going on. And really, personally, I think, excuse me, this hasn't brought in the amount of money.
What is this crap you produce for us? What is
why is it getting so low, old boy? That's the old BBC though that I was used to. They're probably all going.
Remember them?
Darren Epp, very Kenny Everett. Darren Epp is saying to us here: are the pre-transmissions numbers included in the official figures, Bedwir?
They are included in the +7s. So once you get the +7 reported, that will be including pre-transmission numbers. So the overnight plus pre-transmission plus post-transmission for 7 days is what makes up the +7. Now, I have seen other places that report the pre-transmission plus the overnight to give you a Saturday figure, which is perfectly fine if that's how you want to report them. But typically, I would count it only as the +7s because that's what the BARB do.
Yeah. And another question here for you from Thor behind. Nice to see you, Thor. Welcome to Who's Views. Any chance they're counting the Disney viewership in the 6 million?
It's certainly possible because we don't know what the Disney viewership is. We have tried to look into it in terms of what the rankings on Disney equate to. But because Disney are not obliged to release numbers, there is no system in place to track viewership of streaming services such as Disney Plus in the US. We don't know for sure. So they could be, and it might be how they get into 6 million, but we don't know for sure.
But if it is Disney, if they're measuring Disney Plus, then it's worldwide Disney Plus, not just the States, isn't it? So that's a very poor figure if that's what it is.
Oh, totally.
Well, if the BBC are commenting on a number that's made up of US or Australia, Disney Plus viewership across the world.
Yeah,
that's not within the BBC's remit at all, and that's kind of fraudulent.
Dodgy. Yeah, it is, because the BBC have to report on BBC numbers, and that's it. But again, we'll be here at Headlines when any news breaks on this sort of stuff. We're watching all this. Bedouin's been very kind, as you can see, to put all this stuff together. We're watching everything like a hawk. We've got our ears to the ground. As soon as there's official announcement of a spin-off, as soon as there's an official announcement, as there will be, that Series 3 is coming along, as soon as the format's announced, anything like that, stick with us, because we'll be here on Headlines, and we'll all be boring old white men gobbing off together. Woodhouse wants to, we're saying here, I think Series 3
some
will
with
be
hair, some without. Yeah.
Yes. Woodhouse wanted to saying, I think Series 3 will be 3 one-off episodes like the 2023 Tennant specials. As I say, it's the format that's going to be interesting. It is going to happen. And I want to say hello to Isaiho 33. After Boom, what in the world did people see that made the numbers go back up the next week? I can't remember. Boom was the third one, wasn't it? So the second week. Don't know. And Steve is saying 2 more series tops. Well, is that including the one they've got in the can, mate? Because I reckon you might be right, but I reckon it's more possibly a 1. And where Warflare is saying to us, surely this will put the kibosh on any spin-offs. I certainly think there will be discussions. I'm trying to be really nice, Warflare. I think they've got to think business at the end of the day, and I don't think they have been. Great stream tonight, says Charles 1642. Very cozy as usual. Thank you. That's exactly what we're going for. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
if they were
just to go back to my point, I think if it becomes apparent that no further funding is going to come for Series 3, I think they might push that spin-off budget to do Series 3.
We will soon know. We will soon know. If they do that, we can speculate a little bit more, can't we? We can have a really good show speculating. But Darren's saying to you there, Bedouin, thank you for clearing that up. Right, we've got another. Paul, did you want to say something before we go?
Yeah, I was going to say, but if they were working in a business format, they wouldn't have filmed season 2 until season 1 had been received by the public first. Then thought, let's make a second season, but they didn't think about that, did they? So.
Oh yeah. Well,
that's what happened in 2005. Yeah.
Anthony's saying to you here, Bedouin, they're lumping in BBC 2 and BBC 3 numbers.
That is something we've speculated about before.
Yes.
Again, that's perfectly possible, but it's not how the BARB count, so I'm not counting it.
And Matrix Lord 212, nice to see you, Matrix Lord. Hope you are well. There will be no announcement. They'll just film it. Oh, there'll be an announcement. There'll be an announcement. They will make a fuss over here in the UK about, it was so popular, we're going for a third, and this is the format of it, and this is what's going to be done, and this is what's I guarantee you there will be some sort of announcement, because then what happens is they fuel that side of fandom that's going, of course it's going to run forever. I guarantee you they will let it be known somehow that there will be an announcement. An astronomical one. Thank you.
I believe Matrix Lord has some contacts, so you may have some knowledge about.
They will announce it. They will definitely say something. They'll put out the press release to anyone who cares, including Doctor Who magazine. They will. Astronomical one. Thank you so much for your super chat. Nice to see you. If Series 3 retcons everything going back to the Flux as a fever dream, then I will forgive them for everything they've done to us. Okay, I don't understand that. I never watched the Flux Astronomical. So is that a good thing, going back to a fever dream? Explain.
No, they need to go further. They need to retcon further, because if you retcon,
they need to do the shower scene in Wild Enough in Time at the very end. That's the shower scene there. The Doctor goes into the TARDIS, but it's actually in a shower, and he comes out again, and Clara's there, Bill's there, and it was all a dream. That's it. Yeah.
The thing is, if you retcon before Flux, you're still in the Whittaker era.
Yeah.
You need to go mid Capaldi. Preferably
although compared to this iteration of the show, Flux was so good.
Shakespearean.
Yeah, that's what you say.
You need to go back to 1989, really, and just carry on from there.
Which is what I would do if I was in charge. I wouldn't reference anything. It would just be proper Doctor Who. So thank you, Astronomical One. Really appreciate that. Honestly, thank you very much, everybody, for these and all your support. Really, really do appreciate this. We've got Rodney Strickler saying, is Steve Austin working on the ratings? Maybe that's how you get 6 million. Ooh, you are showing your age there, my friend. you remember that?
The bionic rating is superb. Yes.
Used to love that noise.
Although
I have to say,
fantastic. Yeah, great stuff.
a repeat came on a couple of months ago on the telebox thing, and I watched the repeat and was bored to death. And I used to watch it every Thursday at 7:00, and when I was a kid, loving it. And I watched this and I thought, this is really awful. Timescales is where they're saying, if only RTD would retcon the timeless children, get everyone to quit kissing and crying, he could be a hero again. No, too late. Too late.
I got the entire box of $6 million man up here. So.
All right. I think it's too late for him
that time back.
ever be a hero again, because we know exactly where he stands. I'll never forgive him for stuff like that. Right. So let's have a look at where we're up to. Where were we up to?
I think
we do this one.
No, we haven't done that one. So, so this again. Now we have the overnights for Empire of Death, 2.25 million, as we've talked about. So that means we now have an overnight average for Series 14, which you can see is down at 2.27. So this is the premiere broadcast on BBC One. The averages for all the series going back to 1963. So number one on the line graph down to where we're at now. Series 40 is down at 2.27, and you can see the column on the left, which are all the modern series, so 2005 onwards. So although we're wanting to retcon the Jodie Whittaker era, that last major spike was that first series of Jodie Whittaker. So in numerical terms, Series 11 got 6.2 million viewers on average on overnights, but we're quite a long way away from that, down at 2.27.
So really what this is saying, and what this diagram is showing here, is basically not only has the new version of Doctor Who that Russell T Davies has put together and presented now, not only has it alienated the general public, not only has it alienated the majority of fans that tried to come back for this and thought, no, this is still not for me, it alienated a lot of the audience that came in for Whittaker.
Yeah, I mean, so there was a peak audience for Jodie Whittaker's first series. There was definite interest for whatever reason. Unfortunately, it then dipped away for, again, whatever reason, a number of reasons. Whoever, that's a different show if you want to debate that. But that initial interest was there in a female Doctor, and it's borne out by the numbers. However, it tailed off for Whittaker. It came back a little bit, and it's gone again.
And now it's dropped dramatically again now for this one, because people want good stories, they want good entertainment, they want good actors, they want a good Doctor Who, and the British public, I think, still want, no matter what age they are, a Doctor Who they recognise. None of all this crying and whinging about the place and snogging fellas. That's not Doctor Who. It's the great British public. Matrix Law 212 is saying, do you think now they will stay away from David Tennant because of his statement? No, they will love him even more. They will love him even more because they're all part of the same gang. They will love him even more. They will, yeah. They'll just go, yeah. I bet they were all on the phone to him today saying, oh, well said. That thing he said on Friday, well said, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, Kemi Badenoch's bad. Peter Harrington, more like Stretch Armstrong, pull those ratings.
Another blast from the past.
Absolutely. And Graham is asking me, did you have the Steve Austin action figure, Jay, with the weird eye? Yes, I did.
I did as well, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
And that roll-up arm thing, that with the
with the circuits on it.
Yes.
And then they add an engine used to lift up as well. You push a button on his back and you do that.
And I had his rocket as well. And I had something else. Can't remember what it was now, but I had something else. And I loved my $6 million. It was huge. From my desk here, it was about this high.
He had a lovely tracksuit on as well, red tracksuit.
Little red tracksuit, yeah. And I was never allowed the Bionic Woman or Leela in case it turned out gay. Anyway.
What happened there, GT? What happened?
That was the 70s for you. Ha! Thanks for that, Graham. And Steph's saying to us, the Who fan with insider contacts says the BBC has commissioned season 3 and have told RTD, just not announced it yet. No mention of Disney Fun. Yeah, it's got, people don't be thinking. And when you see people saying anything online saying, no, it's gonna happen. It's got to. Otherwise, there's egg on their face. There will be some form of Series 3, whatever shape or form it's going to be in. Let's have a look. Catherine, nice to see you. Let's say hello to Catherine Reed here. Hiya, Catherine. With any luck, this season will turn out to be its own micro-universe since the bi-generation, separate to actual reality, explaining why nothing makes any bloody sense.
That boy was winking at the camera and break the fourth wall all the time. It's all a joke. Yeah.
Paul's convinced about this one as well, Catherine. He thinks it's all an alternative reality or something like that, you know.
I know I'm grasping at straws, but it's just to keep it alive in my heart, so it'll still be Doctor Who, and they can forget about that. But it's not going to happen, is it?
No.
Asking for a friend. How's Battlefield doing?
Well, let's have a look then, because we've got this one coming up as well. Bedwyr, what's this one when you think about Paul there?
Yeah, so now we have the Legend of Ruby Sunday's +7 rating of it is 3.495 million. It's going to get rounded up to 3.5, but it's clearly under 3.5 million. So I'm going to report it as 3.495 million, which puts it third lowest +7 rating post 2005. The yellows are obviously this current series, and 7 of the 8 of the bottom 8 are this series. When we get Empire of Death, we might have 8 of the bottom 9. We shall see. But yes, regarding Battlefield, obviously that had an overnight audience, because that's the only thing that was recorded and measured, of 3.1. So if you're comparing +7s of modern Doctor Who against Battlefield Part 1 in 1989, then Battlefield is still below that. But as we've mentioned in other conversations, it's an unfair comparison for a number of reasons on both sides, really.
Totally.
I'm going to count the Battlefield repeat from 1992 or 3 when it was, and that'll bump up a bit, so we'll have to add that in. So.
Well, Battlefield would have been watched on iPlayer now by several, because it has had an awful lot of, not press, but in fan circles, a lot of people have talked about it. And the fact that we've had some of our younger Who viewers say, wow, the Destroyer's amazing. You know, because everything, but I mean, look at Fifi from Happiness Patrol, another great piece of puppetry there. Oh, sorry, it's our club here.
As we've been saying, the Blu-ray collections have given a reevaluation of some of the classic stuff, and particularly season 26, which is a great season. I know it's one of Bedwyr's favourites, but it's got a reevaluation which is superb.
Yeah, and that's how, and that's thanks down to not just, I'd say that started with the release of the Blu-rays, because the Blu-rays, as we all know, have been hugely successful. But again, nobody would take into account how many times we watch those, because Doctor Who, the original Doctor Who, if we all took into account videos and DVDs and all this, it's out there. It's astronomical, and I bet you it's still 5 times
100
more
million
than anything now. Yeah. All right, so that was that one. Where are we up to now, Bedwyr? Did we show? This is where we're up to. Overnight share. Are we up to that one?
Yeah. So our overnight share. So this is reflective.
This isn't a finger. This isn't overnight with share. This is the overnight share percentage. Just want to clear that out. Thank you.
Yeah. No share involved. No believe. So this is the percentage of the available television audience that Doctor Who has got over the course of this series. So this is again going back to our overnight numbers. So for Empire of Death, 2.25 million was reflective of just under 20% of the available television audience. So of all the televisions that were on in the UK at the time that Doctor Who was being broadcast, just under 20% were watching Doctor Who. This is, as you can see, a slight increase from the previous 2 episodes, but down a little bit from where we started at the start of the series and that weird bump up that 73 Yards got.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. Oh, I love these little diagrams and stuff. It makes it, these little diagrams that Bedwyr does, doesn't it, for Who Views, it makes it all look like sensible, because it's a very complex, as we've said before on the shows, this is a minefield, and it's just all over the shop.
We were talking about in the previous article, the first article we did now, about facts, and Bedwyr knows his stuff, and this is backed up with evidence. It's not just written on the back of a fag packet. Or was it? I'm just checking. It's not there.
No, that's right. I mean, it's scraps of paper, but you know,
that's right.
It's trying to present the numbers in as even a way as possible. So people watching can take these numbers as they like and interpret them how they want to. If you think that about 20% of the available audience is a good share. Great. I'm just presenting the numbers. They've come down slightly, as I say, from the start of the series, and interpret them how you like. But for me, only 20% of the audience available is not massive when, an England football game is getting 75% of the available audience. There's that perspective. Okay, Doctor Who's not as big as the football, but
No.
it is possible for event television to get a massive chunk of the audience.
Yeah.
And Doctor Who ain't that right now.
And yet, I remember when I was a kid, those days are gone because, it followed the football in many, many cases, and some of the audience would stay on. And you could argue that was because Tom Baker, the mighty Tom Baker, was there. You could argue Liz and Lou were there. It doesn't matter. They were still watching the thing. Some of the audience stayed for it. Now they'll just go, no, thank you. Nicholas Lee, I love you for trying this. Not every Disney show gets a shout out, and just because it doesn't get a shout out, it doesn't mean it's not successful. That is a very valid point, though. Actually, you're absolutely right. They don't shout about everything. I think it's very selective what Disney do shout out. But when you've invested as much as allegedly they have in a British TV show, you would think they'd be a little bit more sort of like, oh, look at what we've done.
Yeah, and it's not that, we're waiting for them to shout and report numbers. We've looked at the chart rate, the chart rankings in different countries for Doctor Who, and it does break into the top 10s briefly, normally on a Saturday, Sunday, and then it disappears again. But we don't really know what those rankings actually equate to in terms of viewers.
And we have seen Nielsen ratings as well, where, as some of the our friends in the chat are saying to us here, Doctor Who isn't there. It doesn't feature. I mean, they should have learned the lesson in 1996. Doctor Who didn't do well in 1996. We all know that. And yes, okay, Roseanne was on the other side, but it didn't do well. The Americans don't know Doctor Who like we do. America is a very difficult nut to crack, when it comes to entertainment. But they keep going, they keep trying, because that's where they think the money is.
It did well though during Matt Smith's time and Peter
because it was on BBC America, which actually could be a cult television center. A television station. We're all science fiction fans were gravitating towards that. Even British television fans were gravitating towards BBC America because it was British stuff, which was an alternative. But where is it now?
But that's what I mean. I think they're watching more. Americans were watching BBC America and watching Doctor Who on that than they are now.
Yeah. Battlefield was great. Thank you, Richard, for that one. Bad Classic Who was still great. Doctor Who. Paul Ashworth is saying to us Battlefield was great. And Lex wants to know, is there any plans to do a review on Battlefield? Yes, but I don't know when. We're going to get around to them all eventually. Warflare is saying to us here as well, is it rare that the BBC refused to publish the audience appreciation figures like they've done with Doctor Who? In my experience, yes.
I mean, there are some episodes I haven't seen audience appreciation numbers for, but it's rare that it's an entire series.
Yeah, it really is on that one, doesn't it? Joe just doesn't say my dad fell asleep watching the football earlier, so it doesn't say masses for the football either.
I fell asleep watching Empire of Death twice.
Yeah. Thor is asking us an interesting question on the back of all these ratings. Could Disney make a season 3 deal conditional on RTD not being so heavily involved? Well, anything can be done in business, and nobody's, nobody is secure. Let's face it, but I think it's doubtful.
The question is whether Disney disagrees with the same things we disagree with, potentially. That's the thing.
Exactly. And the other thing is as well, is it's still a BBC Studios product. So they could turn around and say, well, thanks very much, we'll go elsewhere. Because they will probably support their own man, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because they're all loyal to that. Right, so let's move on to the next one, which was this one.
Yeah, so I wanted to have a look and compare our penultimate episodes of the series.
I love that word.
Penultimate, yeah.
Ooh.
So, because we've had some real classics, Stolen Earth, World Enough and Time, I personally love and think it's one of the best episodes of Doctor Who I've ever seen. And I just wanted to track what those sort of numbers were looking like. So for context, the blue line is the overnights. The orange line is the overnight plus 7. So our audience over 7 days, including original transmission. And then the green you can see at the very end is the plus 28s. What I've found particularly interesting is you can see how the gap between the blue and the orange is very narrow for the first series of Doctor Who, for Bad Wolf, Army of Ghosts, etc.
Yeah.
And then it starts to widen. So by the time we get to Capaldi's era, and you've got Dark Water, it's quite wide, that gap. And now, as we're looking at it, we're into the Jodie Whittaker era, and now, obviously, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which is the latest that we've got +7 numbers for. That gap seems to have narrowed a bit. So again, going back to this argument that, more people are watching it on iPlayer and, streaming it on iPlayer, and it's all iPlayer. That gap's actually narrowed. So fewer people are streaming it on iPlayer than at the peak Matt Smith Capaldi era. That's just an observation I made from putting this graph together. But obviously, Legend of Ruby Sunday is down quite low on our overnights, and our +7 is only just getting above the overnight for World Enough and Time, which was Capaldi's.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah.
Just for a bit of context, GT, for you, because you didn't see some of the Jodie Whittaker episodes, It Takes You Away had a talking frog in it.
Is that the one with the frog? Now that is actually that is the one I did see part of, because my friend said to me, well, only because I was forced. A friend of mine said to me, "You've got to see what they've done to Doctor Who," and I went, "I can imagine. I don't want to look." And he played this, just the end bit there, and she was in some sort of white void or something, and a chair appears, and then this very bad frog appeared, and it talked to her, and I said, "Switch it off. Let's go to the pub."
Kermit the Frog was more realistic than that frog.
It was awful.
She blew it a kiss, didn't she? She blew it a kiss.
Did she? I don't remember that. I just
and
remember
it didn't turn
white
into a princess or a prince or anything like that, did it? Really?
And I remember some very bad acting. So that's something I never ever want to go back to. Oh, and here we are with this version of Disney Who. Richard's saying to us here, will Doctor Who still be around in 10 years in 2034? No, I don't believe it will. I think. I mean, from a British point of view, there is no audience there to sustain it. It's not there. So no, I don't think so. That's why I think we'll get definitely a third series, and then it's questionable. I'm not going to speculate after that. And Terrified Monk is going to say, even if RTD was removed, it won't change. It will still be the same till upper management change the way they do things. And until show business gets out of this ideological entrapped nonsense that they are in, because they're all peddling it. And sci-fi and fantasy, even Lord of the Rings wasn't, protected from this nonsense. Lord of the blooming Rings, for crying out loud! That's the Lord of the Rings is probably the most ridiculous things to even try to put this stuff in.
I've just had a horrible thought, GT. If we're wrong, we could be reviewing episodes for the next 5-6 years. That'd be awful, wouldn't it?
I've got to sleep after this. Please don't tell me things like that. And Pete is saying to us here, the excitement. That's Spit the dog you've got there, Pete, isn't it? I've just realised. Is he in a museum or something?
Spit the dog, fantastic. Yeah.
Good grief. I bet he's in a toy museum or a TV museum or something. The excitement of Sky, BSB, and Super Channel. BSB had great Doctor Who Hartnell on in the 90s, and Super Channel with the subtitles, if I remember. That was a good one, because of course that's when all the Doctor Who fans went out and bought satellite dishes, wasn't it? So they could just see the repeat.
I remember that. And they showed Edge of Destruction the wrong way round, didn't they? I think.
I've no idea, because I couldn't afford any of that nonsense. So I couldn't do any of that.
That was during a Doctor Who weekend, wasn't it, with John Nathan Turner as well?
I remember the John Nathan Turner weekend, seeing bits of it on BSB. I remember doing that. I remember seeing all that.
And one of the presenters who's on that still does like the shopping channel.
Debs, the lovely Debbie. Yeah, lovely, yeah. DDS Curtis, welcome to Who's Views. It's nice to see you. Streaming costs here in the USA definitely affects viewership. Unfortunately for me, the minute I saw the 15th Doctor dancing in a club, I knew it wasn't really Doctor Who for me, so I cancelled Disney. You were not alone. You were not alone about that at all. This was one of the things, I mean, it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Who viewers, but the way Doctor Who worked when it was BBC Worldwide, BBC Studios distributing it with all their partners around the world, didn't you all have, there wasn't any problems? Weren't fandom happy? Didn't you get it properly? Didn't you like tuning into? And then they went and did this. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. We've got Rodney Strickler saying, I'm in America and I used to watch proper Doctor Who on PSB. That's what I mean. Thank you, Rodney. It's nice to see you. they've taken away a little bit of magic, I think. That's personal opinion, obviously. And Guy Gadbois is saying to us, that's a real issue. A Disney version of Doctor Who could quickly erase the British nature of the show. It's been tried many times over the last 30 years, especially during the wilderness years, where people came through and say, oh, we want to buy, and the BBC said, no, there's one. There's always one. The world is mad these days, though, so anything could possibly happen, but they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. And honestly, says Matrix Lord 212, nobody would write a whole season of a show without knowing if it's being paid or being made. I believe that, but they're so nonsensical and arrogant and up their own bums. Anything could happen, couldn't it?
That's referring to the fact that Russell's written episodes for season 3 already, isn't it?
He has started. Yeah. It started.
I kind of agree with that in a way, because you wouldn't really do that, because he's not going to do it for nothing, is he, to be honest? But
well, no, exactly. Why would you do that when, so yeah, that's right. That's the other reason we know it's coming, isn't it? Because I've started on it, but nothing. The only thing that hasn't been confirmed is the Disney angle.
Yeah.
Everything else would have been. Bad Wolf and the BBC Studios, as I've said, are more than capable of producing this thing themselves.
Well, maybe that was the clause in the contract, to have that option if it failed on Disney, and that's what they did in cahoots with Bad Wolf. So maybe that's what the conditions were, potentially.
Exactly. And the other, Ibrahim, it's lovely to see you again. Thank you for joining us again. Would there be a review on the up-and-coming Harry Potter TV series and whose views? You bet your bottom dollar. I am chomping at the bit. So is Kirsty in the chat. We can't wait. As I say, we're trying to get in it. We'll play anything. I'll play any sort of masked up creature that she wants me to. Yes, please. But yes, we will be doing that when that arrives eventually. We will find a way to watch that, and we will be looking at that, and that will be a spin-off series for us, because I can't wait for that. Let's get back to all these lovely things that Bedouia has done for us.
Yeah, so you can put the previous one back up.
Which one was that?
With the 3 lines. Yeah, that one. So just to answer, Melanie Weston investigates. So the green line is the plus 28 figure. So this is additional viewers beyond 7 days of broadcast up to 28, which is where the old iPlayer used to be, that a program would go on for 28 days and then it would come off. And so that gave a plus 28 number. But as you can see, from Heaven Sent onwards, when we do have those numbers added, they're fairly negligible.
Right. Okay. So let's move on to this one.
Okay. So this is the +7 ratings overall across the series. So we now have The Legend of Ruby Sunday with the 3.495 million viewers. That is actually a 73% increase from the overnights, which is, commendable. But it still means that the overnight figure is still 58% of your +7s. So it's still a significant portion. And okay, 3.495, 3.5, whatever you want to round it up to, is still the second lowest of the entire series, which is not great for the first part of a series finale, in my opinion.
Well, it's a series finale, and they sometimes I think they're just aiming at what's left of the fan base, because hype. But you go to any normal person on the streets of the United Kingdom, nobody knew about it, And I when I said to people, "Oh, I've got the last episode of Doctor Who to watch," the last one, it's only just started, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So this new way that they're pushing the show into, it's not registering again. But I keep saying, the British public are gone. What's the point in continuing? Mark, thank you. Mark Stuff's personal page is saying the war between the land and the sea was set to commence production in September, according to production listings reported by TV Zone. Thank you for that, Mark. That sort of ties in with what we've heard as well. So, So again, when that's officially announced, we will do a show about that here on the channel, and we can all slug it off before it gets moving. Yeah, there you go. So
still a few months off.
Still a few. Where are we now? We're going into July next week, aren't we?
Yeah. So things could change. We'll see.
Yeah. Rick is saying to us here, look, the highest rating for the one with almost no Doctor in it.
Yeah. Could that be significant, perhaps? I don't know.
It could possibly be significant. Right. From that one, You're watching Who's Views. This is Headlines. Nice to see you. We are currently going through Bedweir's ratings analysis. The update we've got here, I'm sure there's more to come because we've still got one episode and the fallout from that to come on that, haven't we? So we've got this one now. Now, this one was the...
Yep, so this is our overnight ratings. So again, going back to Empire of Death, we now have that overnight figure. And you can see it did get a little bump upwards, but it's still, a downward trend overall from where we were at the start of the series and that random peak for 73 yards. Just to go back to the previous slide, actually, so a few extra details for The Legend of Ruby Sunday. Now we've got the +7. It actually ranked 19th in the BARB's 4-screen chart. I don't fully understand it. But in this chart, it, as I say, was 19th. It came below episodes 5 and 6 of the 3rd series of Bridgerton. Now, bear in mind, that's on Netflix, and, the availability of Netflix is not as high as BBC One is for people in the UK. It was also below Great British Sewing Bee, Troop in the Colour, 5 football matches, and all the episodes of Emmerdale and Coronation Street for the week. So if people want to look at the chart placing and try and put it in a context of what people are watching across the week, The Legend of Ruby Sunday didn't do great.
Wow. Okay. The Sewing Bee, we talked about that before. The Sewing Bee got more. The Sewing Bee is more popular with the British public than the one.
Well, the news got more on some occasions as well, didn't it?
Probably, yeah. I mean, there is an election going on, and there is that sort of, I don't know. I think in terms of the chart, I don't think. I think it just beat the BBC, weekend news. But as I say, multiple football matches, all of Corrie, all of Emmerdale, and I think the most interesting is the Bridgerton one, because that, it is not available to a wide number of people in the UK. I don't know what the actual numbers about Netflix subscribers in the UK are, but I'm sure it's a long way below what BBC One's availability is.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what that would be either, because again, they don't have to publish that sort of data. Dalek, I love you, is saying, all hail Bedweir and his hard work. Absolutely. And isn't it fun as well to look at all this? Terrified Monk is saying to us here, I can't wait for some classic reviews. Stay with us, because they'll be back soon. Sorting it all out now. We're going to be starting with a Pertwee one to celebrate the great man's birthday as a tribute to him. And then we've also got one coming up, which will be our Hartnell one in tribute, of course, to the late William Russell as well. Goodness me, it's so... I still can't get used to saying late for some of these people. There was such an important part of my younger years. Carmen is saying to us, the irony that 73 yards is the one at a distance to the other viewing figures. That's quite clever, that one, isn't it? Brilliant. Okay, and what else? And Thor behind. The 4.06 for 73 yards appears such an outlier, which suggests the FA Cup bump a likely cause. Well, I think so. I think the televisions were switched on after the footy ball.
They weren't watching. They're in the other room making a cup of tea or something, or getting some more beer.
Yeah. So the football finished, and there was a bit of a gap. I think it was like an hour and a half. So they weren't consecutive. But 73 yards does appear to be the anomaly of an otherwise downward trend. Again, in my opinion.
Well, I'm going to agree with you on that. So it's my opinion too. Lex Kane. Bedweir, you make ratings chart fun and educational. Keep up the good work. That's nice. Thank you, Lex.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I'm just trying to present the numbers in as broad a way as possible, so people can make their own interpretations of it and not attack me for being deliberately misinterpreting. I'm just putting out the numbers and presenting them in a clear way so people can make their own conclusions.
Exactly.
But I will.
He's very good. He's not even Algerian, is he?
No. And Raymond is saying to us here, I only watch Doctor Who, so I know what everybody in the chat is talking about. RTG can thank all those who YT channels, otherwise the ratings might be below 1 million. They're going to get there, though. I'm honestly, Raymond, they were going to get there. We've got Series 2 coming. Well, it's going to get to 1.9. What else we got here for you? Yes, so thank you everybody for that. Thank you. We keep the chats coming, and we've got this one from you as well, Bidwea.
Yeah. So in a similar way, we talked about penultimate episodes for Legend of Ruby Sunday. Also wanted to look at series finale ratings. So 2005 onwards. We obviously have a nice spike for Journey's End. We all remember the shock regeneration cliffhanger was the 10th Doctor going to regenerate, and
what a week that was.
Yeah, that was a wild week. That was full of speculation.
You can't say if you were outside the UK that particular week, you have no idea how manic it was in that particular, because that cliffhanger on the Stolen Earth. I had people coming up to me every single day, several times a day, all week from the Sunday onwards to the following Saturday morning. Who's taking over from David Tennant? Who's taking over from David? People I wouldn't have even thought was watching this show. Who's taking over from David Tennant? No one. It's a gimmick. You know, he's filmed a few for next year. It was a huge thing, wasn't it? And the BBC did some stuff with it, but they didn't push it as much to get it up. But it was a manic week. It really was manic.
They kept that going brilliantly with David Morrissey and the Next Doctor as well. That's a nice touch, you know, really good. Yeah.
But it, you know, the numbers don't lie. It clearly had an effect, because that is, you know, the peak of our series finales, Journey's End in series 4. And then they start to drop off and level out a bit. Matt Smith into Capaldi. Again, we've got our blue overnights, our orange line is our +7s, and then eventually our greens are our +28s. And we've mentioned already the first series of Whittaker, so the frankly dreadful Battle of Ranscourt Av Kolos.
Say that again. The what?
The Battle of Ranscourt Av Kolos.
Oh, is that how you say that?
Cracking episode.
I guess. I mean, Jesus.
Is that wow. That's a hell of a title. Bloody hell.
But that did buck the trend and bring the numbers back up, having, you know, been steadily declining for a series finale. But now we've dropped back down again, and we've dropped below Flux and Empire of Death. Looks quite a long way down.
Quite a long way. It's a very long way down there. I mean, this again, it just proves, guys, there's no audience.
No.
And I said it before, haven't I? Any other show with these ratings would be either moved to BBC Two or axed.
And those are all series finales. So, you know, the bulk of your promotion is hopefully geared to getting people to tune into a dramatic end of series. But yeah, the audience didn't.
And now they're saying, come back at Christmas.
Yeah.
And we're
come back at Christmas. Yeah.
Is an audience going to come back to them in December? I can't wait to find out. 6 months down the line, will the British public come back on Christmas Day? This is where Wallace and Gromit, and you may laugh, this is where Wallace and Gromit will play a big part, whether it be before Doctor Who or after Doctor Who. If it's on before, some people might stay into Doctor Who after Wallace and Gromit. If it's on after, Doctor Who might get an upswing in the last 10 minutes.
It wouldn't surprise me if Doctor Who's on Boxing Day rather than Christmas Day.
It'll be no. I think it'll be. I think it's going to be one of the flagship. Russell will want it. He will have already dictated. This is our Christmas Day thing. Honestly,
I'm with Paul. I'm not convinced it will be on Christmas Day. I think there'll be other slots to be filled. You know, Wallace and Gromit, Stacey, EastEnders, Strictly. It's they can't all fit onto the Christmas Day schedules. And if you're going to drop one, I think Doctor Who's going to be the one you push to either Christmas Eve or Boxing Day.
If that's the case, Bedswee and Paul, then we will really know that something's going on if it loses the primetime Christmas Day. Because bearing in mind, they could put Wallace and Gromit on at 2:30 or something like that as their sort of equivalent of the. They could do that with Doctor Who. It doesn't have to be on in the evening now.
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't want to wish all our lives away, but I'm actually very, very interested to see where it's going to be.
Realistically, they'll put Wallace and Gromit on at an early evening slot.
I'd say about 5 o'clock, wouldn't you?
Yeah, because I don't think they, because in the afternoon people are still having Christmas lunch, seeing family, walking off their lunch, all that sort of stuff. It's only really the sort of
Rowing.
early evening onwards that the TV audience really picks up, apart from 3
Well,
o'clock.
it used to. It used to. Let's face it, it doesn't really anymore. I mean, the last few years, it's been terrible because it's just been.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a point where I'd be able to say to you, at this point of the year, I knew exactly what was going to be on, in the order it was going to be on, because Wenger, especially, was just churning the same crap stuff out every year. You know, it's a little bit different now because they've got these other elements in. So, but we all know it's still going to end with Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Yeah, sadly. The Church on Ruby Road didn't do particularly well, did it? And that was coming back afresh.
Didn't that get 14 million?
14 million, probably. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, quoted as 10 million in certain publications, but
It was, wasn't it?
The numbers were not as high as that. Much like that 6 million figure we talked about earlier.
Yeah, Rick is saying to us, question for the experts: have they ever done an episode with the Doctor and his companions switch minds or bodies? That's very Avengers, I feel. That sort of stuff. Very Avengers, that one. But Richard is saying New Earth, sort of, with the body swap there.
Yeah.
So sort of, I hate body swap episodes. I think it's just lazy ideas and lazy writings, Rick. Sorry. But yeah, it's very Avengers. What else we got here? Matt532, Journey's End was amazing. It was peak New Who, certainly for the British public. They loved it.
I hated it.
You hated it, yeah. Pete Harrington is saying, yep, I remember in Tesco's people were talking of Doctor Who. It did make me smile. Terrified Monk is coming back with that, saying how the mighty have fallen. Bedouin's graph there has shown that completely. Rob agrees with you, Bedouin. Journey's End sucked. RTD never stuck to the landing. The Stolen Earth is fantastic.
Yeah, 100% agree. Stolen Earth was brilliant, and then you felt much like this series. I'm getting the feeling that you got hoodwinked into believing something interesting was going to happen with a shock regeneration, only to be blindsided with a cheap out instead.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, this is one thing. Another thing. RTD Moffat. I don't know about Chibnall. Always a cop out in episode 2 of a 2-part cliffhanger. It's always going to be rolling back time, bringing back everybody, this and that. It's all about the spectacular. Oh, look what we can do with CGI. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Look. It's never about the content of the story. If you can't get out of it, don't write it. Do something simple. You know?
Journey's End had really awful CGI when they tried to tow the TARDIS back to Earth. That was interesting, wasn't it?
That's right. What else? Anybody else? Yeah.
What was that, Ian?
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Yeah.
The Peter Venkman fan site is here. Hello, it's nice to see you. Haven't seen you for a little while. How are you? Hope you are very, very well. It's lovely to see you. And Stephen Braddock is saying to us here, Journey's End night, everybody I know was watching it. My next door neighbour ended her barbecue with her neighbours just so they could go and watch it.
Using the regeneration worked. It got big numbers. Yeah.
But they tried it subsequently in the Peter Capaldi, and it just got too much, didn't it? Oh, look at me, I can just try and do this when I want to. I'm bored with all that sort of stuff. No, you can't. You're going to die. You're going to die. That's what it's all about. What else we got? So we've got Carwin saying to us, Christmas, shooty snogging Santa whilst working around the tree. Oh, no, sorry, that's Richard, because the thing moved up. So that's Richard. And then Carwin is saying Christmas people might have the TV still on after the King's speech. Yeah,
that's
Richard, very naughty.
Ratings hit.
Yeah, well, yeah. And Wallace and Gromit, if are on before Who, it may get a lift. If, as the guys are saying, it's not on Christmas Day, we'll have fun if it's announced it's on any other day. I always thought Doctor Who could work on a Christmas Eve as well. Yeah. But they don't. Russell doesn't like a Christmas Eve because he says two people are too busy wrapping presents and putting the sprouts on. That's me saying that. But do you know what I mean? They were too busy.
Then you have the telly on in the background.
Yeah, but the other thing about that as well is that nobody's going to be watching anyway. Surely on Christmas Day, they're all too busy rowing. And
everyone's drunk and full of food. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then if ITV puts something fabulous on, you go and watch that. You know. Simple as that. So that was that. Anything more to say about that one, Bedouin, or are you happy with that?
No, that's fine. So that was just comparing series finales, and we're in a bit of a ditch.
It certainly is. That's being kind, I think. A bit of a ditch is being very kind. This has been a very interesting series. As I say, we are not quite finished with the ratings yet. If Bedouin is still up for that, we've got more to report on as we move forward. Next week there'll be more coming out as well. We want to deal with the Empire of Death. So if you're up to it, come back and give us the closure. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, well, we've still got a few weeks left, so we'll have +7s for Empire of Death next week, and hopefully we'll start getting the +28s, and we'll have a look at those. But to be honest, they're fairly negligible kind of increases. But again, if we're being told numbers like 6 million, then we're gonna see if that is actually borne out by the numbers that come out officially.
Yes, let's see if we can find where they're getting that from, shall we? And as I say, and if we can get any of the Disney data, we will look at that as well, just so that our American friends especially are interested in that. But
plus, I'm really hopeful of getting the Pyramids of Mars BBC4 numbers. I think that'll be interesting as well.
Fingers crossed on that one. Let's see how that one did.
You can count that on one hand, probably. So.
Well, I think it's going to be big for what BBC4 normally gets, which might be
Doctor Who always usually is, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think this might maybe push BBC4 into thinking, oh, well, actually, maybe we could put episodes of Doctor Who on.
It is interesting, though, because I don't remember the Dalek figure for that awful version of the coloured Daleks. That came out fairly quickly, didn't it? I seem to remember that was within a week. So, honestly, who's down there? Who's down there? Somebody off sick? What's going on?
They showed Hand of Fear at one point, didn't they, to celebrate or to a tribute to Liz Sladen, and they also did Face of Evil for as well at some point, didn't they?
Well, Doctor Who always performs quite solidly for that channel because nothing else does. Let's face it. Because BBC4, in case you don't know, because you're not in the UK, BBC4 was supposed to be the BBC channel that was quite arty. Let's put it that way, and it was supposed to be full of fact. From the BBC.
It should have been called Pretentious Moi, probably. It should have been called,
Yes.
You get Bob Ross doing painting. It's great.
Oh, Bob Ross is great. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
It hasn't actually worked out like that for them, and there were talks that they were going to get rid of it. But anyway, stay with us. So what's that?
Then they dropped BBC Three instead, then changed their mind and brought it back because they wanted the youth audience.
And that hasn't worked for them as well, as far as I'm hearing. Yeah, so there we go. So listen, thank you, Bedweir. That was fantastic as ever. Thank you so much for all your hard work on that. I know everybody appreciates it. I know we do, and everybody in the chat appreciates that. It's just interesting, isn't it, everybody? If you want facts rather than the fiction, this is the channel you come to for all this, because this is good stuff based on fact from the BARB, and all put out there in a nice, easy way for you from Bedweir so that you can understand it all. Thank you so much for that, Bedweir. Listen, we've come to the end of this particular show as well. We've started with kicking off, and we've ended rather calmly. So I want to say thank you so much to everybody in the chat for helping us get through what has been a very, very frustrating couple of days. So cheers for that. Really appreciate you all being with us. Thank you all so much for your chats. And again, really appreciate for that. We will be back here on the channel very soon. Friday, to be quite honest, with the interview, 8 o'clock on Friday, 8 o'clock UK time, unless they say something stupid tomorrow. But yes, Friday. Well, you never know, Ian.
You don't, dear. It's more likely than not, isn't it? To be honest.
Yeah, you just don't know. But Friday, 8 o'clock here on the channel, our Who's Views Headline Special Edition. Gareth Roberts will be here to talk about his book, Gay Shame, The Rise of Gender Ideology and the New Homophobia. Come and join us for that from 8 o'clock this Friday. And let me know what you think in the comments of it as well. I hope you're going to enjoy that because he was a joy to talk to. To Third Doctor Ian, to Paul, to Bedweir, thank you so much for joining us. I really, really enjoyed that today. And look at this, Lex squeezing one in there. Thank you so much again, Lex. Really appreciate that and Adam years. Have you ever watched Patrick Stewart's Christmas Carol? I have, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really, really good. Lex,
is that the one with Richard E. Grant as Bob Cratchit? Is it?
Yeah, and they've started showing it now. I noticed it was on the telly, proper telly, last Christmas. I think it was Channel 4. Oh no, it might have been Channel 5 because they show some good stuff. It was one of them, and I watched it then as well. And so I really like that. Lex, have you heard Tom Baker reading A Christmas Carol? Now that's, if you've not heard that,
my favourite's Alistair Sim.
Thank you so much.
Alistair Sim.
Sorry?
The original 40s version or 50s version with Alistair Sim as Scrooge. Fantastic.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I know. They show that a lot as well, don't they, actually,
They
on
do.
the telly? We're talking about Christmas and it's summer.
I know it's terrible. It's only
No, I'm melting. You're talking about Christmas.
No, we've got to stop this. It's absolutely ridiculous. Let's not talk any more about it. It's called Joy to the World, isn't it? It's on the way. Ooh.
Yes, Joy to the World, yeah.
But Alex is saying, yes, he has heard that one. Tom Baker just mint. Absolutely fantastic in that. And Peter Venkman is saying, oh, now that I've got to get it on. Listen. Yes, Matt 532. Oh, one of my favorites. That one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's only June. But listen, if you can go and find the Tom Baker Reads the Christmas Carol one, if you can download it from wherever you lot or get your lovely things, go and get it and just listen to it. He is, of course, a legend and an absolute joy. He's really good at that. So listen, from all of us, we will be back with you very soon. Don't forget, we've got the Gareth Roberts headline special on Friday, and then we will be back live with you on Sunday, 8 o'clock UK time, for our season 1 overview of this version of Doctor Who that we've just all gone through. That's going to be a cracker, if anybody can think of something. So come and join us for that. Guys, thank you very much. As ever, really appreciate it. We will see you all very soon. Till then, take care of yourselves. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.